Good evening. We are live for the second half of the Bison Brawl 2019 matchups. I am your host, the TO, Brian Broder, and I am joined by a whole host of awesome people. That was the word I was looking for. Awesome the people. Second half of the Bison Brawl. I've got Michael Piercy. I have Matt Young, Britton Williams, Pat, the former master, Zora Allen, Billy Smith, or Billy Hinger, sorry, my fault. And we are getting ready. Oh, yeah, you just go ahead and hang up now. And I believe Travis is getting ready to. Travis Tim is walking in the door with him. I think they're going to sit on each other's laps, though. We will go ahead and get this party started, and we'll take it in proper partly Texas order and ask, what are you drinking and what are you drinking out of? Britton.
Again, I'm a shocking disappointment to the wargaming scene. I meant to pick up some fancy hipster fire brewed fucking root beer or something on the way home. Didn't get a chance, so it's once again Coke Zero out of a can. Like a heathen.
You are a heathen. I mean, did you bring another pizza with just veggies on it again?
No, I'm not sneaking slices. I have no side slice tonight. I got no food, so if we get to like table 18 and I'm just angry, you know why.
You're out of veggies. All right, Matt, what do you got tonight?
Yeah, I am drinking a Clown Shoes Space Cake Double IPA.
Oh, nice.
And I am drinking it in a Pilsner glass that I stole from the Marriott at Lone Wolf.
Well, that's wonderful to know. I'm sure they appreciate that. All right, Mike, what you doing tonight?
I'm drinking the Tuesday night special. A nice glass of water. Got a work in the morning special.
Okay.
Work? What's that?
I know, right? Billy, you drinking anything?
Yeah, I got the good old faithful Captain and Coke. Out of a old Rock Wars from Warhammer days. Glass.
Nice. And Pat, what you got?
I got I specifically stopped by to get some scotch at Costco.
Oh.
And they had a Game of Thrones special. And I got the House Targaryen, which is made by Cardew Gold. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey. It's pretty good. I think it's a lowland Scotch, but it didn't actually say on it. But it's definitely not peaty at all, so it's either going to be Speyside or lowland. I'm drinking that out of
one I could handle.
Drinking that out of a Cooper and Thief Cellar Masters glass.
Nice. Well, that's pretty awesome. And I am drinking a Planner Oktoberfest, as it is that time of season. So I've got cases of different Oktoberfest running around, and I'm drinking it out of a Fat Tire pint glass that I got at the brewery when I visited last year. So, and on that note, we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. We're going to jump right on to table 11, which is a challenge. And we have Bill Harvitt playing his Goblins, who challenged Dustin Howard. I know Britton was wanting to do the other one. So, Bill, are you good doing Bill's list?
I suppose.
And Matt, if you could take the other one.
I'm happy to take Dustin.
I'd parse at it.
All right, Bill Harvett, he's playing Goblins. He's got 3 hordes of trolls. One of them's got the Pipes of Terror. The other one's got Brewer Strength. 2 troops of Mob Beast Pack. Fleabag Rider Regiment. Fleabag Chariots that has the Bison chip on it. Mincer Ma with Brewer Haste. 1 War Trombone. 1 Flaget with Banner of the Griffin mounted on a Fleabag. A Bigot mounted on a Fleabag. Wizard with Blizzard and Inspiring Talisman. 2 Mincers, 2 Colossal Giants, and looks like the Carnage formation.
So I think I have the wrong list pulled up. Did he submit another one that's not the Bizzles one?
Yeah, he's
He
playing goblins.
Ah,
he did, yeah. He ended up submitting 2 lists, and I ended up grabbing the wrong one originally.
gotcha.
So.
Those watching the cast, ignore what I had on the screen then.
All right, I'll go ahead and take Dustin's while we're figuring out what Bill's taking. At least on the screen, we got Trident Realms. He's been running Trident Realms for a while now. He has 2 hordes of Gigas, one with the Bison ship. That Crystal Planet Retribution is the Bison ship.
Yep.
He has 2 regiments of Tidal Swarm, 2 hordes of Naiad Worm Riders, one with the Brew of Strength, 3 Knuckers, as you do, Coral Giant, because Dustin loves his monsters. 2 Naiad Envoys, one with heal 3 of the Shroud of the Saints, so that should be heal 6. Then he's got another with heal 3, so heal 9 altogether. Naiad Worm Centurion with the Dark Lord's Onyx Ring, bringing it up to regen 3, I believe. He has the King Crab's formation, which should give his Gigas an extra speed to 5 and also give them elite. And then he has Nakushi, the Worm Rider Commander, who has another heal 5 and is also kind of a beast. 6 attacks, 3 melee, crushing 1, thunder 1. That rounds it out. 2,300 is it's a 50 points extra because he used the crystal pendant for the list.
All right. Well, do you want to start us off and tell us your thoughts, man?
Come back to me here. I was looking at the screen that Pat had up, so I was thinking demons this whole time, but I'm happy to toll in just a second here.
No problem. Mike, what are you thinking? I know you can visualize that list in your head.
Well, I played against Dustin's Trident Realms pretty recently. It's strong. It's really, really, really strong. The Goblin list looks good. It looks like it's got a nice balance of things, but I just can't pick against Dustin in this matchup or in most matchups. So I'm gonna go with Dustin.
All right, showing that Texas favoritism. I see how it is.
I can come in now. I've taken a look at this.
All right.
In addition to it being Dustin Super Beast Howard, who I would not bet against pretty much ever. There's a lot less. There's a lot of crushing in here and stuff like that. He's got a lot of ensnare in his list. The Gigas will care about the crushing, but pretty much nothing else will. It's going to be wounding on 2s anyway. They're used to it. I just can't see Dustin losing this one. This is a pretty easy pick for me.
Okay. Billy?
Well, this is kind of like the same situation as Drew. Every time I seem to vote against Bill, he pulls something out of his rear and somehow pulls out the win. So, much as I don't want to vote against Dustin, I got to go with Bill.
Shouldn't you vote for Dustin? That way Bill can, pull it out?
He doesn't want to hear shit from Bill since he's, right over there. He'll just drive right down the street and he'll never hear the end of it. He'll show up in his Darth Vader costume and just hound Billy for days. Britton, what are you thinking?
So I wrote an article recently for Dash 28 that sort of goes through the whole metagame again. And right after that, Dustin messaged me and was like, since you're writing so much about the metagame, what army do you want to win Bison Brawl? And then he gave me a selection of about 4 races. And then he said, I haven't picked my army yet, so I'd like to know what you would like to win Bison Brawl. So with that amount of swagger, it's hard to actually vote against him, like you said. Also, I think this matchup is really, really strong for him.
Yeah, for sure.
You look through the Goblin list and you see, just look straight down the melee column, and it's 4 up, 4 up, 5 up, 4 up, 4 up. And then you look down the far right column for the Trident Realms, and you see ensnare, 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 ensnare. Except for the Gigas, who are huge defense, and one of them explodes. So it's just, I feel like a bad matchup, and a really, really good player, and that's going to be too much. So I'm giving it to Dustin.
I gotcha. And Dustin has been super excited. He's been showing me pictures of his army and messaging me. He's super excited about Bison Brawl. I'm looking forward to seeing him beat around Bill. Not to play favorites or anything.
I like to see a goblin list without a lot of shooting. It seems like goblins like to fall back on that, but this particular matchup, he wanted more shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a
Oh,
little
agreed.
bit, but not enough. But the
Yeah.
thing is, Dustin's list for Trident's Realm list is pretty shooting resilient. I mean, the only things that get picked up easily by shooting is Worm Riders and Tidal Swarms. The Coral Giant is defense 5. The Gigas obviously are hard to pick up. And the Nunkers are all stealthy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that they're easy to wound when you hit them, at least for the
Yeah.
most part. And Naiad Worm Riders are not a bad pick.
There's
as far as
also
picking something up shooting.
there's also sort of an interesting thing that is unique to this tournament's meta, because you have the free Bison chip, and because some folks are taking 2, sort of the ability to recover from attacking exploding units is more important in this meta than normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that Trident Realm armies recovers from that really, really well. There's heal and regenerate
Regen,
all over
man.
the army.
The regen, yeah.
Yeah.
Really reliable regen.
That regen is so frustrating. You take a pot shot at them and you have to hold on them, or else it's just gone.
Although, granted, when you're talking about the Crystal Pendant type units, your opponent is going to have a chance to finish off the unit before they can regen.
Yeah, it's more about that sort of position where you protect the unit that actually kills the Crystal Pendant unit, but oftentimes those wounds are just sitting on that unit till the late game and something pushes them over the edge. This army, none of that'll stick if you don't get them right away.
And
Yeah.
you can't rely on those crystal pendants. I mean, when they blow up real big, that's good, but when I've been playing on mine, they've been pretty underwhelming. Not to say that I don't like them. I like the psychological point of them, but you can't trust them. You just hope for the best.
I will say you'll have at least one game that you can trust it. Just gonna throw that out there. Just gonna toss that out there. I'm really looking forward to people getting a hold of that scenario. So, Pat, I assume you were going with Destin.
Yeah, I played against this Trident Realms list, and it does bad things to me. And that was playing Elite Undead that hits on 3s with tons of attacks. So I can't see a Goblin list that hits mostly on 4s being able to take it on, sorry.
Have you ever played a Dustin list that didn't do bad things to you, Patrick?
Yes, I beat him at Lone Wolf, and I drew him I beat him 2 Lone Wolves ago, and I drew him at the last Lone Wolf.
I didn't ask if you beat him. I asked if it did bad things to you.
I did some bad things to his list at Lone Wolf.
Shared it. Travis, I see you hiding back there. I'm glad you could join us, man. Billy decided to vote for Bill because he didn't want to hear him whine later. So, are you going to do the same thing, man?
You guys hear him?
All Bill does is whine, so we're gonna all hear about it all weekend.
All right, I'll put you down for then a Bill also.
So Travis
Alright.
is drinking water out of a water bottle, apparently.
Yeah, it looks that way. I'm just gonna assume that's vodka. So.
I mean, I could give him this bottle.
All right.
So who's that little guy anyway?
Who is it? Is that they grow so big in Nebraska? Can't tell. That thing's probably 3 months old.
8.
8? Jesus. You changed the tires on my car already. Good lord. Alrighty. Well, let's hop into the next one then. We'll go ahead and go to table 12, which we have Lance Brown with his Ratkin, taking on Hank Googe with his Dwarves. Mike, if you want to go ahead and take Lance Brown's list.
Yes.
And then Pat, if you can go ahead and take Hank's.
The Ratkin. My
Yes.
favorite.
The old
Yep.
Ratkin.
2 regiments of Ratkin warriors, a horde of shock troops with the Brewer's Sharpness, 2 regiments of blight. One has the crystal pendant. Let's see. It looks like it's probably gonna be both of them. Is that Yep. Both blight are gonna be exploding.
Nice.
2 regiments of vermintide. 2 regiments of nightmares. 3 weapons teams, all with the storm of lead. A vile sorcery death engine. We've got 2 warlocks, both with Bane Chant, and that's Bane Chant 3 for the Ratkin upgrade. A swarm crier with the diadem of dragonkind, and then the flying demon spawn.
That is a really interesting list. There's only 3 sources of rally in that entire Ratkin list.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm intrigued. I like regiments in general, but I really wish he had another, like an enforcer, or something like that. All right. Going to Hank's list. We have 3 hordes of Earth Elementals, 2 regiments of Rock Riders, one with slashing, one with Whip of Celerity. Berserker Black Lord, he comes standard with a mount and a Blade of Beastslayer. We have a King with Wings of Honey Maze. Stone Priest with Bane Chant, Martyr's Prayer, and Boots of Levitation, so he'll be moving a mighty 8 inches and being able to cast spells. A Battle Driller, a Greater Earth Elemental, and then he has allied in a horde of Elohi and a Elohi. And then
Nice.
his pendant is on the naked Earth Elementals.
Yeah, one of those.
They're all naked, so just one of them.
Yep. You guys will
I
have
like-
to mark them when you're on the table.
Yeah, I like that he specified the naked Earth Elementals, and then they all are.
Look, I just took whatever they told me and I put it on the spreadsheet.
Like,
Okay.
like way to be entirely unnecessarily specific.
Maybe one of them has like naked painted on it, and he's
Yeah,
referring to the
maybe-
paint
maybe
scheme.
maybe they're skin colored. You never know.
It's true.
What
They could even be anatomically correct, you know. So who knows?
Update us in the chat if he actually has a naked unit of Earth Elementals.
At this point now, Hank, if you don't, you need to get one.
Yeah.
That's a thing now.
It's the
You got
thing.
a few days.
Well, Britton, what do you think of these lists?
Oh, yeah. So that Rat Kitten list has a crap ton of breath attacks. It's that's fun. I'm not a huge like Ratkin player. They have like a variation of rally, right?
Well, they just have rally. Their horde size units have rally.
Okay.
If you notice, there's
I
only
wasn't-
one horde in this list.
Yeah, and that it doesn't look like the other Ratkin armies that are running around and winning. So that raises the sort of red flag for me that says, uh-oh, this doesn't look like the other ones. But it also raises, like, I'm interested, like, this looks fun and a little bit different, and maybe he knows something I don't, which is quite possible. And it's just a crap ton of shooting, which doesn't go wrong a lot of the time. But
Maybe
it's up
against
against
3 hordes of Earth Elementals, you know.
yeah, it's up against the thing that kind of doesn't care. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm torn on this. Come back. I'll have a
All right.
decision.
We'll come back because Mike's going to give us the lowdown. He's going to tell us how this is done.
I mean, I really like this rat list.
Of course you do.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
It's
8,
a rat
9,
list.
10, 11,
Of course
12,
he's gonna love
13,
it.
It's a
14,
rat list
15,
that's
16,
weird.
17.
I mean, that's just a double whammy for Mike.
It's not that crazily different than mine. I mean, I've poured a ton of points into that other formation, and it looks like a lot of those points in this one are in the weapons teams.
Mm-hmm.
The warrior regiments, they're not bad, but they're not good. I don't know. I just feel like that's not very efficient. He only needs one of them for the unlocks, so he could have gone with a 3rd blight regiment and a tunnel slave regiment for the same amount of points, and I think that would have been significantly better if he's just going to do this regiments thing.
But then he wasn't doing the rule of 2, like all the way down, man.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly like when I saw it. My first thought was like, yeah, it's unbalanced if he does that, so I get it.
Your list has to be symmetrical. That's like a rule.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty important. He's just gonna have the Death Engine and the Demon Spawn and the third weapons team all on a conga line in the exact center, so that the rest can be all balanced.
Shock troops. Don't forget the shock troops.
The shock
Yeah.
troops, yeah.
No.
Um,
They'll be leading the pack.
I like it. I mean, I think it's got some tools where it can do well. As and no offense to Hank, as interesting as that list is, the other one is equally as just kind of uninspired. It's Brox and Rocks, Beastlayer, Berserker Lord, Flying King, Elohai, Allies, which is not that interesting to me, but it's strong. It's really strong.
Don't knock it if it works, man.
Yeah, so kind of just on paper, I think the rat list is going to have a more difficult time, just because you can't just kind of push it forward with the the strategies that you can probably find online for Brox and Rocks. I think that the dwarf list probably wins this, but depending on how that rat list is played, it can surprise some people, I think.
So, are you going for Hank because he's
Yeah.
gonna win, or because of the rats? Because you like the interestingness.
I'm going for the rats. We're going for the rats.
All right,
Put me down for Lance.
all right, got you down for Lance. Pat, we'll go to you. I saw Britton drop there for a bit, so I know he needs more time to think.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because the rat list outdrops the dwarf list by 5 drops, but
That's what rats do, Pat.
Yeah, this is
at
true.
the same time, a lot of those drops are individuals or war engines. Um, it's just actually a pretty low unit strength rat list as far as rats go. And he has a lot of. I feel like this list plays on a knife's edge. Like, it's a lot of low nerve, low attack units. He's not really taking that big of an advantage of his rally. I'm assuming the shock troops and the death engines are going to be centrally, and that should get rally 2 for most of his center stuff. And his demon spawn can move up with the nightmares and get rally 2 there. But in general, if he has to spread out, he's going to have a hard time. And then Hank's list, it's a tried and true formula. Brox and Rocks and then add Elohi. There's very few lists that get worse when you add Elohi. So I think I'm going to go with Hank on this one.
Okay.
Do love the idea behind the rat list. I just wish there was a little bit more, like either a second death engine or an enforcer. Just a little bit more rally.
All right, Matt, how you doing? What you thinking?
How you doing? How you doing?
How you bull?
I'm intrigued by the rat list too. I am. I like regiments. I wish those were. I guess they can't be slaves because he needed at least one unlock. But 12-14 is pretty good. I really am. I've always been impressed with Goblin Rabble. I don't see a lot of rats, but they're kind of the same thing there. I just can't get over. He has a lot of breadth that might be able to do something to this dwarf list. It obviously can pick up the Brox pretty easy. They have a high nerve, but that's going to start melting when they start getting hit with piercing shots. The Berserker Lord's another thing that he can get off, but he's going to lose at least 1 war engine to the Berserker Lord, probably 2, even more if he puts that King in there right away. That's 2 heroes in the back of a War Machine line. I really don't see. The more I'm looking at this, I just really don't see that rat list winning here. I can't think of any scenario that he's really going to have better, even invade or something like that. These dwarves are going to get through it. They have 3 units that can delete rats at will. I love that battle driller. They're just so good. Yep, I'm giving this to the dwarfs, and I've heard they have mechanical wings, so I'm really excited to hear about that. See that at least.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. All right, so Billy / Travis, I'll take both of your comments.
Oh, both of us, eh?
Oh yeah.
I mean, just kind of mirroring what everybody else been saying. The Reckon's gonna have a tough time. As much as I like that Reckon army, it looks like it'd be fun to play, but I just don't. I don't see enough there to get through the defense six and everything with the dwarves, with all the elementals and everything. So, you want anything to add? Yeah, we're both
Sure.
going dwarves.
All right. Both you guys going Hank. And Britton appears to be having some internet issues, so we're just gonna exclude him for the moment. Give him a few more seconds here. I'm gonna actually drop in some comments. I am pretty much under the theory that one of two things has happened with Lance Brown's Radkin list. So Lance Brown is an Oklahoma guy. I'm pretty sure the last time he's played Kings was Lone Wolf 2018. So either he has forgotten how to play this game and what rats do, or somebody crazy like Lance Hatcher has created this list for him to play.
It honestly felt like a Lance Hatcher list when I first
I'm,
looked at it. I
I'm
had to double
almost
check.
positive that's what's going on here.
I had to
So
double check Lance that like I forgot Lance's last name. I had to double check it wasn't the same Lance.
I'm pretty positive
That
that's what's
explains a
taking
lot.
place here, is that this is a Lance Hatcher list, because I think if it was up to Lance Brown, he'd probably just play Berenger because he likes to show up to tournaments and just beat face and not have to think a whole lot, where Hatcher just loves to just come up with left field lists. So this really feels like a Hatcher list, and that's where I'm thinking this is going. So
Mike, you should have challenged Lance.
there you go.
Good. Next time.
All right, I see Brenton popping back on. Looks like he's right side up. That's always a plus.
Yep, I'm back.
All right.
What are we
You're-
on?
You're back just in time to give your opinion on Table 12, Ratkin versus Dwarves.
I missed the whole debate, so I can't steal anyone's ideas like I normally do.
Just say
Uh,
dwarves.
Just go Dwarves.
Yeah.
We came to the revelation that it's not actually Lance Brown's list, so there's that.
We believe it's Lance Hatcher's list.
We're pretty sure that Lance Hamster made this list for Lance Brown to play.
If you have the same first name, like that's totally legal. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. It works.
Matt Carmack, I'm making your list next time, buddy.
Oh,
Seems legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll vote dwarves.
Please, no, don't do that to me.
all right. So we got Mike was the only one that voted for the Rats, and that was just out of pure principle. So, all right. So on to table 13. We have our last challenge on the Bison Brawl list. We have the handsome Tom Annis playing Basilia versus Troller himself, Tim Roller, playing Abyssals. And
Oh, Tim,
I
Brian
know
doesn't think you're handsome. I think you're handsome, Tim.
I mean, he's kind of handsome, but I mean, there's a scale. I mean, there's a scale. We've got Tom, and we've got Dan coming. I mean, I start losing count. So Britain, I know you wanted to take a piece of this action. Whichever one you would prefer, and then the other one, I will go ahead and read.
I'll read Tom's list for now
All right.
because that's the one I have in front of me, and it's easiest to remember. So
He plays the same thing every time.
yeah, basically
You're one to talk, Matt.
Hey, I switched it up a little bit.
three boomer sergeants instead of two. Switch up.
It's true.
So we have Tom is playing Forces of Basilia, who are very good right now. So he has Paladin Foot Guard, 2 regiments of Paladin Foot Guard. He has 2 hordes of Alohi. He has 2 regiments of Paladin Knights, 1 with the Brew of Haste, 1 with the Potion of the Caterpillar. So he made an interesting choice there. He has 2 regiments of Sisterhood Panther Chariots. He has Nias. He has an Alohi, rounding out both those formations. He has Danor the Wizard because, I don't know, he had some random extra points left and wanted to do that.
100 points are random.
Yep. And then he's got Holy Lancers formation and the Retribution of Heavens formation. And if you don't know what those are taking
Winning.
good units and making them better by taking characters you probably wanted anyways.
I think it just automatically fills those in when you pick Basilia, right?
It's pretty much,
I
yeah.
know, right? Automatic.
It's weird. At the top of the page, it says Forces of Basilia (parentheses good), but I think when you take those two formations, they should at least switch to evil.
At least neutral.
Neutral at the minimum, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
They're lawful good, but that doesn't mean they're lawful nice.
Cool. So over to the other list, and then I'll give my opinion.
All right. I've got the Tim Roller's Forces of the Abyss list here. He is playing a troop of gargoyles with the Orc Sculpo, a legion of larvae with the Bison chip. He has 2 troops of succubi, 2 regiments of succubi, with one with the Brew of Haste and the other one with the Hammer to Measure Force, a horde of Molochs with the Brew of Sharpness, a regiment of Heliquins with Potion of Caterpillar, Abyssal Temptress with Bane Chant 2 and Wings, the Lord of Lies, Well of Souls, and he is taking the Fire Legion formation, which I believe makes everything succubi even horrible in Death Incarnate. Yeah. Britain, have at it.
Cool. So Tom's playing Basilia, which is an incredibly powerful archetype right now, especially the Alpha Strike Basilia list he's playing. It's placed or won at multiple tournaments this year through different pilots. And unlike a lot of those other pilots, he's not sort of picking it up as they get popular. He has been playing it for a long time. I think it's his first Kings of War army, or what he's been playing for most of his tournament time.
That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he is playing his list, like his army. He is playing it at its most powerful time. And he is playing it against a guy that he has been shit-talking for weeks on the internet. Which means if he loses, the shame might be entirely unbearable and leave him with only one potential option, which is ritual suicide.
I mean, it's dojo, so what's that called? It's not Sudoku.
Seppuku.
Sudoku.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he loses this match, he's gonna have to do what many losing generals have done throughout history and kill himself for the shame. And that means that this game is no longer just toy soldiers being pushed on a field. This is a game of life and death.
And Tim loves that type of traditional Japanese, the whole thing. He will be there making sure he's holding everything at the proper angle, dressed in the appropriate attire. That is his thing.
Yeah, he'll be a second. And what's important is this is a dice game. So he is literally at Bison Brawl gambling with his life. And
I like it.
that might mess with someone's head, right? Like in the morning when he wakes up before the tournament, he hops out of his, race car shaped bunk bed and takes off his eye mask and puts on his foundation. This knot will be in his stomach that's saying, this could be my last game of Kings of War ever. This could be my last anything ever. And that's a dark thought for someone so young, someone who has so much of his life in front of him, who hasn't even gone to prom yet, or grown a single hair on his face.
Man, you had to spend all day thinking of
Or been made into a real boy by Japan. So
I think this tops both Tom and Tim's challenge right up.
I know he's watching right now.
And those are pretty
They're
good.
both watching. They're typing all through the chat right now.
So I think the important thing for me to do here is I have to vote, as much as it sickens me, I have to vote for Tom, because I would feel bad if we lost. I mean, he's not like a pillar of the community; he's a member of the community. But I would feel bad if we took away the life of someone so young. And any South tournament I went to, I would have to go out and pour White Claw over his unmarked grave in Texas. Unmarked because of the shame he brought his community, his club,
Community.
and his country.
Good God. What'd you say you were drinking again tonight?
Coke Zero. There's something in
Coke
that.
Zero.
Maybe that's the original recipe. Who knows?
So normally I would feel bad for Tim, like, because he has a chance of killing a child, basically. But he's a lawyer, so he's probably used to this shit. So yeah, I mean, I'm voting for Tom, not just because I think he's got a really strong list and he can win, but I'm voting for life.
Vote for life. Vote for Tom is a vote for life.
So you guys are up.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants a piece after that? How about Billy and Travis? You gotta follow that.
Pass.
I think that's it. I mean, that's like the jersey is retired now. That's it. Britton got a.
He got it.
That's it. Moving on.
Yeah, if we vote against Tom now, are we just terrible people?
No, I'll vote for Troller just to make sure he doesn't get like a unanimous vote under his back.
There you go. I'm gonna put it down. I mean, Tom is extra handsome, so it's probably okay to vote for Tim. He doesn't get all the attention.
He needs to die young. I mean, you know, if he gets old and wrinkly, we'll remember him that way. He needs to die when he's pretty.
Where'd Britton go?
He's been having an internet
Hey,
connection.
Mic drop.
Oh wait. Nope.
I'm back.
The mic drop.
I'm back. No,
What's the
what I
timing?
will.
It's like literally Britton leaves right after that. Like he's just done. No more analysis.
What I will say is that if Tom dies, the spot for prettiest Basilia players back open, and I know Jeremy's been working out just for that.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. All right, Mike.
I mean, I guess now if Tim wins, we're gonna have a Game of Thrones scenario for the prettiest Basilia player, and I'd like to see that. So I'm gonna go ahead and vote for Troller.
Oh, nice. Pat.
I mean, Tim took Brew of Sharpness on Molochs, which is like doubling down on a unit that is pretty bad, but at the same time is fun, and that just takes balls. And he's taking
What
the
you're
Lord
saying
of,
Tom doesn't have?
he's taking the Lord of Light. I mean, Tom is taking two of the best formations there is. The Lona formation is better than either of those singly, but those combined are better than that. But Tom's a really good player, and Lord of Lies is just so expensive for Lightning Bolt 7. So I'm going to go with Tom. And I don't want to see Tom do Sudoku.
Sudoku.
Sudoku, yeah. No one wants to do Sudoku puzzles. Shit.
Right.
Tom, there's your crunchy analysis for you. You got it from the former U.S. master. You already knew what it fucking was, so shut up.
Billy Travis, what you got? You're gonna be the tiebreaker.
Tom's list is nasty, but I don't know if I can bring myself to vote for that. Like
That is, I will say, that is literally what he's been running from day one. I played him.
He is not a bandwagon guy.
I played him in his first tournament. It was my first tournament, and that's pretty much what he was playing then.
He's like a Patriots fan who was a fan before Bledsoe even.
Yeah, but I mean,
so.
none of this is original analysis because I'm just parroting back what Tom said on Countercharge. But like this list has gone through an evolution. It's dropped all its heel basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's got The sort of item choices are really specific. He's buffing up his knights instead of his aloha, so he's trying to buff up the slightly less powerful unit and leave the
That's
aloha
true.
as powerful enough. There's some interesting stuff in there. I just didn't really want to talk about it because it's more fun to make fun of Tom.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it's gotten better as Tom's gotten better. I mean, Tom was like mid-tier, low tier at the beginning, and now he's top 5 almost every tournament he goes to. So
I
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
you were going to say top 5 Basilia player.
he'll get a tournament win, I'd say, in the next year. I wouldn't be surprised at any point if he won a tournament.
Tom's messaged me. He wants to take this tournament bad. He's gunning for all the big guys. He wants to take out Nick, and he wants to take out where's the Aaron. He
Dude,
really
real-
has got it in for Aaron.
It's not
Real
going to
talk,
work,
though.
Brian. I'll tell you though. Like every time Tom and I find each other, and it doesn't work out. Didn't work out too well for him in practice. At least we played our list, and I may or may not have tabled him. We'll just leave it at that.
I was coaching him, and I told him he just needs to start taking off his shirt more often.
Oh, that would be distracting. Yeah,
See, done.
he'd sparkle,
like-
of course.
So the
he has
thing
that
is,
listening Ken doll. Body.
The reality is the window on this list is sort of closing, right? Like we know these formations won't be there in third. We know there's going to be some shakeup. So like this is kind of the time for
It's a
anyone
swan
that is
song.
anyone that's building an army around formations. This is the opportunity to kind of get a lot of fun out of it, get some use out of it, and I know Tim's army also is sort of succubi heavy because of that formation. So it'll be interesting to see how that performs over the entirety of like the tournament. I just don't think he's going to do it this game. So.
Speaking of just item choices, I am curious about the Brew of Haste in a list that already has so much speed 10 and speed 9. I feel like a 15-point item is Brutal or Courage. And then looking back at Tim's list, Tom doesn't have quite this like overwhelming speed advantage as I thought he did, because I mean Tim does have 4 flyers.
I mean, he's playing, Forces of the Abyss. Of course, he's got some speed. All right, Tim wants analysis on his list, so let's look through it real quick because he's bitching. So, gargoyles with the orcish skull pole. That's odd.
I like that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, well, I
It's
mean, you can just throw the gargoyles in with something else. Orcish skull poles is, can.
I'm not going to
guarantee
kill
you
him
brutal.
I'm not going to kill him for a 5-point item. I mean, he had 5 points left over. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. But I mean, it's kind of weird. I guess you could get lucky with a YOLO charge with it. Bison chip on the larvae is good.
Yeah,
And
nothing's gonna really kill that unit.
Exactly. And not Tim. Tom doesn't have any shooting, so he's going to have to hit that or leave it alone. Both are good for Tim. The succubi are never going to fight combat and die immediately to alpha charges.
That's where I don't agree, because Tim has enough speed to be able to fight off all of Tom's speed. And this is where the Brew of Haste on the Alohi might have been better, because I mean they're matching speed for speed.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I get that Tim has speed. I do, but oh my god, Tom's list is just so fast. It's frustrating how fast it is. And I'm like, as an ogre player, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, cool, you're faster than me, whatever. But it's just the amount of reach that his list has. Something that Tom's always said that I really like. He says he doesn't play Alpha Strike, he plays Boa Constrictor. And if you've ever played against him, for those that haven't watching the stream, I think all of us here have, but he just like wraps around you and gets everything surrounded, and he doesn't strike until like turn 4 or 5. And
that's because he's an actual good Alpha Strike player.
I know.
The key of Alpha Strike is to be patient.
I'm with you. I agree with that entirely. But it's just it's beautiful to watch. You have to really watch yourself.
So
That's why I play dwarves.
I haven't played Tom since his first tournament at Slobberknocker, where he was running away from my Swiss heavy pikemen.
Oh man, that unit was ridiculous.
And ever since then, we have been within 3 points of each other consistently. Have never been able to match up against each other.
That's so weird. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
On the flip side, Tom and I play each other almost always third round, almost every tournament that we're both in.
Yeah,
That's funny. I've run
Is
into
that why I
Tom
see you fourth round
3
so
times
often?
in tournaments, I think. That's a good one. That's a good one, Brian.
Explains so much. Swinging back over to Billy and Travis. I think we blocked out their vote.
Yeah. Travis really wants to know what's going to happen if they tie. I mean, if somebody's going to die if somebody loses, then what happens if they tie?
They're gonna hug it out.
One or the other.
Matching,
Travis,
matching
Maybe go
tattoos if they
die
tie.
hugging it out.
It might go into some heavy petting after the hugging, but you know it'll be okay.
well,
Tom only needs to lose a finger if he ties.
Travis votes tie then.
Nice. So we got a straight 50-50 split. Looks like. Oh. I'm gonna leave that. I'm not even gonna vote for that hot bet. I'm not even gonna break that tie. I'm gonna let the gods decide that one. Alrighty. We have moving on to table 14. We have Billy Henninger playing his Twilight Kin versus Michael Piercy playing his Orcs. So Billy, if you can go ahead and read Mike's list, and Mike, if you can go ahead and read Billy's list, and feel free to add any type of extra commentary that you would like along with your list reading.
Billy wasn't here for the. Oh, Billy, you were here for the last one. Never mind. Yeah, go for it.
All right. We'll let Mike go first. That way, Billy has a chance to warm up.
Let's see. Twilight Kin. Are they a real army?
Do the Lamadillos proud, Michael.
They're still in parentheses.
So we're going to start with
We'll
some
have to
blade
get-
dancers. We've got 2 troops of blade dancers, 2 regiments of blade dancers, none of which are going to be very effective against my orcs. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. They're going to look very pretty, but we're just going to run them over. We've got a Whip of Celerity on the troop, Brew of Strength on the regiment, and the Hammer of Measured Force on the other regiment. I think my orcs are looking forward to getting their hands on those items for the second round. They'll take them off the dead bodies. 2 troops of gargoyles, probably the scariest thing in the list. We've got a regiment of Dark Knights with the Potion of the Caterpillar. Pretty standard cavalry. Gonna die just as easy as any others. Dark Side Chariots, a regiment of those with the Brew of Kenai. That's pretty cute. 2 Dark Lords on Black Dragons. Let's see. I might be a little bit afraid of those for about the first round or so. And then they get into combat and they just go down just as easy as any others. 2 High Priestess of the Abyss. 1 mounted with Blizzard and the Heart-Seeking Chant. 1 with... Oh, and that one has... Yeah, mounted with Blizzard and the Heart-Seeking Chant. The other one has Bane Chant and Critter's Call. That'll be really good against all of my Ancient Wing Slashers. Oh, wait. I have none. And then the Night Dancer's Formation. I don't even know what that does. It probably won't matter.
Probably doesn't matter. All right, Billy, I need you to come harder or get
Well-
Travis. Tag him in.
This is what I'm going to say. What I think of this list, I'm just going to let my pawn read this.
You go. Come on, Travis. Go hard. Get Mike.
Oh, he put me on mute as well.
Oh, okay.
So now the pawn gets to read. Michael's got a horde of axes. I love axes. Oh, let's see. Some more axes in a regiment with the Brew of Haste. Hell yeah, because we need more axes. 2 troops of Skulk, which, you know, why not? Because they're like axes. They just die, though. We got some Gore Riders who probably are bringing some axes, I'm assuming, in a regiment. I mean, I think. And then we've got some Gore Chariots in a horde with the Caterpillar because, you know, what's better than having axes when you go through trees and knock them over as you go, along with some big boars that probably are carrying an axe in there too somewhere. We've got a Flagger who is going to have an axe on his flag, of course. A God Speaker who can Bane Chant to give out axes because he's just got pockets full of them. And he's mounted on a Gore with an axe. with Drain Life because apparently there's an axe that can do that. I don't know on that one, but that's cool. A boomstick that shoots axes out, plus all of his other, Fireball, which they're just flaming axes. You've got Whip the half cast because he got cut in half by an axe, so he's still alive though. With some lightning bolt axes. Honestly, I love axes, and I don't know what that guy does. But he brings playmates along to carry his extra axes, and they're vicious for that reason. A colossal giant, which he has stepped on so many axes that he's just going to step on more on accident. 2 war drums, because they got to keep the axes in line, because otherwise they'll go crazy. Grumtongue, who lets them all just charge farther with their axes. A crusher with the inspiring talisman, so he inspires all the axes as he's charging in with his axes. And some long axes that forgot that the axes are meant to be short, and so they had to put them on a longer pole with the brew of strength because that's awesome. And that rounds out the axe army. So Michael, please bring an actual axe just to add more to the army.
Now
might
I really
bring-
want
might
to
bring
see this
axes.
army as just modeled with just tons of axes everywhere.
It would be pretty amazing.
You could have the what are the little guys called? The snotlings? They're not the snotlings. They're the
The Orklings?
Orclings.
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
your
literally
Orklings.
just a pile of axes. So you just push it forward.
They're buried under there.
Yeah.
That's what your whip playmates are doing though. They're bringing that vicious with the extra axes at that height 0, so they're kind of the same thing.
All right. Well, Mike, I'm sure you're gonna vote for yourself. Pat, what do you think?
So, Mike, I give Chris Davis shit for this so many times, and then you take not 1, not 2, but 3 extra spells on your God Speaker.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you could have had a whole nother God Speaker for that.
He's got a job.
I'm with Pat there. What is that job, Mike?
The job is everything, apparently.
His job is to be the most versatile axe user in the army.
Like the boomstick with Whip the Half Cast gives you some long range shots, and Drain Life is always good, especially when you can pump it up.
Dude, let me make sure I'm doing that math right. That is 70 points of spells, isn't it?
No. The 30,
30,
We've
40,
included
no.
Oh, yeah,
It is-
70. Yeah,
that is
ballistic, yeah.
literally another fucking God Speaker.
It's not literally. It's 5 points short of another God Speaker.
Okay.
Ogres
My
can't
bad.
count, remember? Ogres can't count.
Yeah, ogres can't count.
Especially after we've had a few IPAs. That's right.
The flagger does have the Bison chip on him. Just tossing that out there. Super
It does.
important.
It does.
I like it.
Did you end up getting the that model in, Mike?
I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow, so I got some quick painting to do on it. But yeah, so my flagger is gonna be the Vanguard Bang It, the goblin carrying the bomb.
Nice.
So yeah, that's why I gave him the chip.
Like it. Perfect. So Pat, are you voting for Mike, or are you just harassing the shit out of him because of his spell choices?
I'm mainly just harassing the shit out of him.
Okay.
So I think Mike can take this depending on how far away from me he is during the in the tournament, because I am a luck vampire for Mike. So if we're in tables next to each other, then he's screwed.
It's true.
So he's on table 14, and I'm all the way up on table 7. So that's 7 tables. So he should have about average dice.
But what if they end up being like parallel to each
Oh,
other?
then he's
Oh
rows?
no.
Then he's
Oh,
You
screwed.
probably will be pretty close.
Especially now that I put that in his head, he's actually going to
Right.
get really pissed at me after this cast.
Gonna put shit all over in the wrong order so nobody can find the tables.
No, but yeah, Billy's list actually does look pretty nasty. There's not a ton of crush in it beyond those dragons, though. So if Mike can deal with the dragons, which I know Mike can, then I think he can take it. So I'm voting Mike.
Okie dokie. Matt, what you thinking?
Well, I got a clubmate on one hand,
So Billy, okay.
Billis.
um, I mean, it'll be a good match. Billy, you might be able to do something. Maybe.
Maybe we'll do something.
Maybe something will happen. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give this one to Mike. Pat didn't say anything that I wasn't thinking already, but now I can't claim it for my own, so it's cool.
Gotcha. Britain.
So I like the orc list. It's not using the crutch of the Ancient Wing Slasher. So this is an opportunity, if you do well in this tournament, Michael, to be the first non-Ancient Wing Slasher person doing any good with an orc list. So I'm rooting for that to happen. I would like to see it not be mandatory.
Pretty sure I
Or
turned off
thought
his
of as
camera because his boner just got too big. Like talking about him taking stuff that other people aren't taking.
Yep.
His camera just fell off.
He self labeled this hipster orcs because it's not using that. It's using.
Did he do that? I didn't
some-
see that. That's funny as hell.
No, I mean he did in our chat. He
Oh,
called it that.
okay.
He
Okay.
should actually name the PDF hipster orcs, but there's a lot of lightning bolt in this, which makes the formation for the blade dancers probably the best 30 points Billy's ever spent. But
What is that?
it's one of those.
I know it
gives them
does good
stealthy.
things. Stealthy. Okay.
gives- Stealthy and something else.
And
but for
mind
this,
thirst.
like,
Stealthy and
Mind
mind thirst.
I knew it was gross. I mean, like every time I've seen that, I'm like, it's just gross. But I didn't remember what it was.
It's one of those really interesting formations because it pushes you down a certain build path. It's not like you can just throw it in and it's good. It's like you have to build your army around this formation for it to work.
And I do think Billy did build well around it.
Yeah. I mean, so that's what makes it really interesting from the Twilightkin side, that it is this different Twilightkin list. It's built around this formation that takes so many points invested in it that you have to kind of build around to enable it. It just feels like it's running into a brick wall with all of these sort of orc units that will not want to break and then can counterattack really strong. And he's got some interesting sort of lightning bolt options, and that's a lot of
giant.
Yeah, that's a lot of spells on the God Speaker, but I think there's a chance for each one to do some serious damage. So I don't mind the superhero action man Swiss Army knife God Speaker in this one. So I'm voting orcs, but I think it's a good Twilightkin list, and it's interesting to see a slightly different one. Both of these are kind of slightly hipster lists, which is fun to see.
God, hipsters.
Hey, hipsters fixed beer, man. I mean, not that it was broken, but fixtures did good things to beer and food, so they're not terrible.
You're drinking an IPA right now, so I'm just gonna we're just gonna ignore that comment.
That's not all they make, man. That's not it.
Moving on to table 15.
10 years
Wait.
ago,
Did I get to vote?
a micro beer was considered Shiner Bock. So Jesus.
Did I get to vote?
Yeah, Billy and Mike need to vote.
Are you? I mean, I put them down for themselves. I assumed that.
All right, put me down for Billy.
Just because.
I played maybe 5 Kings of War games since Lone Wolf. And
Oh my god.
I think that's
haven't-
being
I haven't-
generous, actually.
Yeah. It may have been fewer than 5.
So this is information you need to offer up earlier in this analysis.
Oh no, I was gonna wait.
Because we're all like, oh, Percy's on it. He's good. He's doing all this stuff. He's in Texas. They play games every fucking night. Who knows?
I know,
Maybe
right?
like-
I'm pretty sure.
So I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with my orcs. It does look like a pretty good kin list. I do agree that it not having a whole lot of crush will make it a little bit more difficult. But it's a pretty good list. I'm not gonna honestly pick one way or the other because I'm in the game. But I think it'll be a good game.
That way
But
Billy
what-
can vote for Billy.
Five games since Lone Wolf. That's like West region numbers. You need to pump those up.
Dude,
Three
that's
of
like
those
mountain.
were playing with Lady Alona, so he keeps on saying that he's hipster, but he played with the most broken
Oh my
formation
gosh.
out there.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you made me play with that thing.
Hey,
with
you
that
asked to
abomination.
play with my undead.
Whoa, wait.
I wanted to just like have some little chibi necromancer that was raising all of these friendly zombies and giving them heals or something. Instead, I got this Iona buzzsaw to play with.
Billy, I assume you're doing the rational thing of voting for yourself. What's going on?
I mean, we got Travis here. Travis can vote instead of me.
Oh, there you go. Give it to Travis.
All right, Travis, axes or not axes?
Oh, I I like the axes, so tough to go against it. But I know I play axes, a lot of axes. I play with Britain's Crutch from time to time with three big axes.
Big crunch.
But I mean, I really like this orc list. It's well rounded. I just know Billy's played against stuff like this a lot. We've got, me playing and our other buddy Tim who's playing orcs and goblins and things. So, and I think it's just going to be a really good game. I think both of these guys are going to have a great time playing this game, no matter which way it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a bloody game because they both want to get into combat, even with all this magic and shooting BS. They throwing axes and pew pews at each other.
Throwing
But
axe.
they're just going to smash into each other. And if Billy can break through the high defense wall, which he's got the hammer, he's got, piercing one on stuff. So, and just as many attacks, as the orcs do. So, I'm helping run the tournament. I might just prop myself at this table and start throwing axes on the table just for fun. So, because I'm the peon though, and I have to vote for my overlord, I guess I have to go with the Twilight Dirtykin
The dirty
with two
king.
dragons that are height 4 with lightning bolt. They can, trade lightning bolts with the axe throwers.
Hashtag not a real army.
No, it's definitely not. He can't hear this. Definitely not a real army.
Totally
PDF.
not really.
PDF. Come on, man.
Are they going to be in that supposed book in December? Like that? They're not even getting the primary, are they? Oh,
There'll be a
again.
PDF. There'll be a PDF insert to the book.
Exactly. So, Mike, your vote to Billy, and then Billy vote for Billy. Okay, got it. So, table 15. We have Garrett Mercer playing Abyssal Dwarves, and Aaron Chapman playing Abyssals. I've seen Garrett's army, and he's playing like an old school GW Abyssal models. Super pretty looking. Well, who do we have? We just had Billy Mike. Well, Britton, do you mind reading Garrett's, and I'll do Aaron's?
Yeah, I'm good. So I know there's some confusion on how you pronounce his name, so just call him G Unit.
Okay, G Unit, got it.
I'm sure he'll love that.
He probably will.
So this is a really fun list. It's just a shame he's up against Aaron. So it's Immortal Guard, who have exchanged their shields for two-handed weapons and have mutated throwing mastiffs. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 Immortal Guard regiments, all with that same loadout. So that's 6 regiments of Dash 17 Nerve, Crush 1, Vicious, throwing dog, little monsters. He did the thing everyone should have done, and we haven't been given enough shame for this. He took both the Bison ship and the Crystal Pendant of Retribution.
Love
so
it.
he has 2 exploding hordes of lesser
Why is-
obsidian golems.
Why is there shame involved in that, Britton?
There should be
shame.
shame for people who didn't do it.
Oh,
true.
okay.
Yeah, we're not dissing you, Matt. We're not dissing you.
Cool, cool.
We
I'm like-
love you. We love your choice.
Thanks.
Like it really should have just been you take those 2 things and you make a 2,200 point army.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
just
I'm with
how
you.
people should have.
I might actually do that next year.
That's
I
how
like
it's
that.
supposed to work, man.
2,200 points and you get 2 bison ships next year.
Plus the crystal pendant.
Plus the Christmas pendant. Well, wait till you get done with the extra scenario I have planned for the bison ship, and then come back and tell me that.
He has 3 Kachukan rocket launchers, which haven't seen those for a hot minute. He has an Iron Caster with Surge and Banner of the Griffin. He's got another Iron Caster just with Surge and another Iron Caster just with Surge. So that's 3 of them. In Clash 2019, they started inspiring the rest of his army. So they're a good little addition. And then he rounds it out with just a little guy named Infernoc.
Little guy.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
bring the crazy thing with him for
Inferno
now.
traffic.
though. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Infernoc's pretty good just on his own.
No, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's gross with the formation.
Yeah. Well, each
Not
of
even a
those
formation. It's
each
just
of
like
those
this way.
Iron Casters already has a small, but they have a heal for that works on Immortal Guard and Golems. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
And
So
then the
that's-
rocket launchers.
that's the list.
All right. Well, I've got Aaron Chapman playing Forces of the Abyss. He's got it labeled as the Crusaders of Moor. I'm going to assume he's got some type of like Basilia-looking Bretonnian army.
I think it's mainly Knights of the White Wolf.
Knights of the
like
White
the
Wolf. 'Cause
Midanheim guys.
because he's got names next to everything so that you know what it is. So
That's because no one will think this is an Abyssal list if they just looked at it.
I was getting ready to say that's probably what this is. So.
Well, this is just whatever Aaron needs it to be the
It's-
most alpha crazy list possible.
I mean, I'm sure you got that from John Green, but I'm sorry. Gargoyles, 2 troops of gargoyles, 2 hordes of Torch of Soul, one with the Brew Haste, and the other horde has the Bison Ship of Retribution on it, because that's what you want to see. Succubi Lurkers, a regiment with the Brew of Strength. 2 regiments of Heliquins, one with the Orcish Skullpole and one with the Potion of Caterpillar. A horde of Abyssal Despoilers with the Brew of Sharpness. A Abyssal Harbinger with the Diadem of Dragonkind. And looks like he took it on a mount. Abyssal Temptress with the Inspiring Talisman, Critter's Call, Bane Chant 2, and he's given it wings. And he also has he allied in the herd, he's got a horde of lichens. And that is his 2250. So, Britton, what you think?
Yeah, so this is really interesting because Aaron's list is, when I talked about Tom's Basilia list being one of the best archetypes in the game, it sort of shares that Alpha Strike preeminence with this Abyssal list. This Abyssal list is incredibly strong. They gave, in Clash 2019, they basically gave it all of the best units from Varangur.
And Abyssal
with
Dwarves.
and Abyssal Dwarves. So it's an awesome list. It's incredibly powerful. It is a bag of hammers. Like, you just go down the sort of the row or the columns, and it's like Tortured Souls, followed by Heliquins, followed by Despoilers, followed by Lichens. So
It's like everything that you don't want to see in a list.
It's absolutely brutal. Its existence in the meta should be something everyone considers while they're designing lists. Like, how can you stand up to this charge? Or you can be like me and just assume that you'll lose that game and design your build for everyone else.
Start planning where you're going to go to lunch early.
Yeah,
I hear you.
So I think it's an awesome list, but I also think, like, Garrett's list is so off the wall and fun, and like it's just this incredibly large amount of dash 17 nerve. If you mess up against any of them, they will be corkscrewing or charging flanks or shifting you around or doing a bunch of other nasty stuff. And they have the ability to sort of just toss a bunch of dogs at one target, weaken something that you weren't expecting to go down, and then grind it out with you. So I wouldn't say it's a counter. I just think that it's an absolutely like different list than you're used to seeing, and so it could be a really fun game. To
You
see.
know, I'll piggyback on that, Britton. It might not be a counter to what Aaron Chapman is running, but it could be a counter to Aaron Chapman. So the thing about Aaron Chapman, he's got one major strength, which is also, I wouldn't say it's a weakness, to be completely honest, but it makes him predictable at least. Aaron just does the best thing that needs to be done at all times, which that like I said, I can't call that a weakness, but I can call it predictable. I've played him a couple of times, and he's not willing to make like the balls deep, play. He's not willing to.
He's methodical.
Right, extraordinarily methodical. So when he's dealt with something like this, that's something that's good. I don't know, when I played Magic, a lot of the really good players were always really scared of round 1 and 2, because after you get to like round 3 or 8, you're playing the meta and you're fine. But you get something that's oddball and screwy and you're not ready for, and it has some weird card that you can't handle, or some weird units like 6 regiments of Immortal Guard with dogs. Something might not go right for you. So I'm not saying Aaron can't beat this. I wouldn't ever say that. That dude's a beast. But I will say that I think Aaron's going to have to think a little bit outside of his, realm of, Kings of War meta here. And, that's at least something that Garrett has on Aaron here.
Yeah, and I think there's something we were chatting with Garrett on After Dark last night, plug number 2 of this cast, and he was talking about his list, and he was saying the fun thing about it is it makes your opponent roll a lot of dice and make a lot of decisions. It is a true counterpunch list. Everything in it is pretty damn slow, and its job is to sort of use some of that variability, and something that might not even have been a mistake, just a small piece of bad luck, compounds itself against the sort of quagmire of short bearded monstrosities.
The fastest thing in his list is speed 4, so
Speed 5 was
Well, I mean,
Speed 5.
Speed 5 shambling is slower than speed 4.
Honestly, that's perfect, Pat. If you're going up against 8s and 7s and 9s and 10s, I mean, you might as well just like dump those points.
It's kind of like that whole thing where you
defense.
play Trident Realm and you laugh at all the points people paid in crushing.
Yeah.
Like Garrett is laughing at how many points Aaron has spent in speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think however this shakes out, I really want to see how Garrett's list does in the rest of the tournament. He took it to some other events and performed really well in one and really poorly in the other. So this is kind of the like, was it a fluke or is it a good list tournament? I really want to see how it performs.
And no matter what, Garrett doesn't have to face Aaron Chapman on the final round.
That's true.
Hey,
I'm pretty sure Travis can chime in here, but I'm pretty sure Garrett did really well at Bug Eater with this similar list. And I want to say, even though he didn't take it, he might have gotten first in battle or really damn close to it, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
he was top ballot.
Yeah, he did damn good with this list. So it'll be so. With that, Britton, what do you think your vote's actually going to be?
Aaron Chapman.
All right.
And like I say that quickly, but honestly, I've got no fucking clue. I'm not good enough to know who's going to win this game. It's a weird one. So I'm just going with Aaron's because that is a winning list that we have seen across the entire meta. It's just filthy. So
all right. Matt, was your vote for Aaron as well? Oh, where did he go? I lost him. Nope, he stepped away. Travis/Billy. Travis, what do you think? See you there. You can chime in with the Bug Eater comment. I think he did pull that out.
Yeah, Garrett took a similar list to this for sure to Bug Eater and did very well. I didn't have to play it. Billy had to play it, and Garrett wielded it really well, according to Billy. So I think this game will be good as well. And since they're right next to each other, I get to sit by both these games with axes. So I might throw some axes this way, just to piss off Aaron and Garrett, because they both, don't like to have people in the way of them when they're concentrating on the game. So
Totally true.
we'll just throw some wrenches out there that look like axes. Nah, Aaron's such a good player. I played him multiple times, and he plays his lists to a T. And I know Garrett sometimes slips up here and there, but Garrett can do the same. I'm gonna. We agreed though. I don't want to see Garrett's list. Like this list on list. Theoretically, Garrett's list is a pretty good counter to Aaron's because the speed doesn't matter, and most of Aaron's stuff's pretty low defense, and you got two obsidian golems you gotta get in combat with, and then they blow up if you kill them. So I'd go with Garrett.
All right. Mike, what you thinking?
I think Aaron has too many allies. 'Cause he's got some lichens, he's got some grotesques in there, some chaos knights. I don't know if that's allowed. Yeah, that list just makes me sad just looking at it. I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I kind of think that Garrett's list is a good match for it. Man, as hard as it is to vote against Aaron, I think I actually am going to have to go with Garrett. I think he's got a lot of really good tools here for this matchup.
All right. Pat, deciding votes on you then, man.
I haven't voted yet, man.
Oh, I thought you voted for
Ogre
Aaron.
players don't count.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I can't. Ogre players don't count, and they can't count.
No, I'm gonna vote for Abyssal Dwarves here. Actually,
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought you were voting for Aaron.
no, I said Aaron's a good player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won this. But maybe it's hope against hope. But I think a little bit of that is that this is a wrench in Aaron's machine, and he might not play optimally against it.
I gotcha. Alrighty. I thought you said you couldn't vote against Aaron as if he was going to beat you in the parking lot. That's what I took earlier.
No. I have managed to find Aaron in every tournament in recent memory,
Yeah.
and he is a hard stop every time I find him. So if it was me against Aaron, I'd be voting for Aaron. But
All right. So, Pat, which thoughts?
This is a tough list or a tough matchup. I mean, Aaron's one of the best generals in the country. He's on multiple times been like a bad roll away from being masters, or U.S. master. And I mean, this list is really good. He plays it really well. He did that 2-year hiatus where he was playing the slave orc build, but he's generally a. Before that, he was playing a similar list to this, and he just really knows it well, and Abyssal's just got better with it. They took what Varangur was doing and made it better, essentially. That being said, I do think that this list, this Abyssal Dwarf list, is kind of not quite a hard counter, but a counter to it, because the dwarves aren't paying any points for speed. That's the lowest speed you can go, and those rocket launchers could actually do a lot of work. Because Aaron does have a lot of height 2 stuff that the rocket launchers can shoot over to dwarves with, and if Aaron will have to make some long charges in order to not get the mutated throwing mastiffs thrown his way. That being said, Aaron has a lot of units that can outcharge the threat range of those mastiffs, but not quite enough to get all 6 of them at once.
I mean, at the same time, 4 and 12, the mastiffs are 12 inches, right?
Yeah, so a 16-inch threat range.
16 inches, he's going to get those shots. It's not going to matter. Not the tortured souls, not the gargoyles, but that's
he has 5 units that can outrange it, or
Right.
6 units. So actually, if he were able to charge all at once, I don't know how Garrett plays though. Like if he does set it up corkscrew style where Garrett chooses who gets to be multi-charge, and if you don't kill him, then they're gonna corkscrew somewhere. Then I think Garrett can really win this list or win this game. Um,
So
I
the
mean that's
answer is that Garrett plays like a boss.
He does. He plays very well.
yeah. So unless it's a scenario where Garrett has to move a lot or spread out a lot, I think Garrett has it. Or Garrett.
First round, is it first round control, Brian?
I'd love to tell you.
If it is, just right before you announce it, go stick a dagger in Garrett's back, because that's what you're doing.
There is one list. There's one matchup, and it was early on last cast that I felt super horrible about. Because not only is it super imbalanced, but the first scenario is really going to bone him on top of that. So he's probably going to want to quit this tournament after that. But hopefully he'll stick it out.
No, yeah. I mean, it only gets better. If you take a hard loss round one, it can only get better.
Yeah.
Even control. I mean, you
Unless you run into your enchantment round two.
control just means that you have to go up in the center. But if you put either of those obsidian golems on a flank with Surge 24, that's a lot of flank protection.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna vote for Garrett for this.
Man,
So I really do like this Abyssal Dwarf list.
4 Garrett to 1 Aaron. Never thought I'd see the day.
And it's and like, I know we've all said it, but another shout out. That's just cool list building from the Abyssal Dwarf side. That's just
Absolutely.
It's really fun to see this late in the edition that we are still seeing like off the wall wacky lists that can perform at a high level, that aren't just like entirely gimmick lists, that are actually good lists. So that just, I don't know, it gives me hope for the next edition, and that 4 or 5 years into that, we'll still be seeing cool lists popping up at tournaments. So
Absolutely.
Hope for future generations.
It gives us hope. All right. Well, then, moving on to table 16, we have Austin Howell playing his Undead and versus Zach Clark playing his Ratkin. Mike, if you want to go ahead and take the Ratkin list.
The rats.
And Pat, if you want to go ahead and take Austin's list.
Cool.
All right. So Zach is playing. Well, it looks like it starts with some goblins. We've got a regiment of rabble and a colossal giant. That's going to be an ally.
Why not?
Yeah.
Because why not?
A lot of power from that rabble there, and I guess the colossal giant just because.
Gravel's one of the best units in the game.
How do you put
Main
a
army
colossal
is,
giant in a rat list? That's out.
All right, main army, we got 2 hordes of the tunnel slaves, 2 hordes of shock troops, 1 with sharpness and 1 with strength, 2 hordes of blight, a horde of nightmares with the blessing of the gods, 2 warlocks, 1 with bane chant and critter's call, 1 with bane chant, swarm crier, and then 2 nightmares, 1 with the inspiring talisman. And the Bison ship is, I think it's on one of the tunnel slave hordes.
It's one of the blight hordes.
One of the blight hordes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
All right, Austin Howell is playing Undead. He has a single regiment of Soul Reaver infantry with Chalice of Wrath. He has a horde of Revenants with the Life Leech. 2 troops of Wraiths, 2 regiments of Mummies, Revenant King on Undead Worm with Healing Brew. That's the old version, not the Titan version. A Lich King with Bane Chant, Heal, and Extra Surge for a total of Surge 15. A Lacanus, and then Morgoth the Faceless with Touch of Darkness. I'm going to assume that's on the Revenants.
This list is only 2,000 points.
He's just that confident.
Yeah, he figured he didn't need the extra 250 points.
That's how I do starter games. I'm always 2,250 down or 250 down.
This is what happened.
So
Why not for a tournament? 250 down. That's fine. He doesn't need it.
So what's interesting is his chip location says Regiment of Wraiths.
Yeah.
And that's missing from this, and that's 200 points right there. But that still means he's 50 points shy.
And he still 50 down.
Unless he thought that he had
The
to.
other race troop needs the crystal pendant, and then we're good. We're whole.
There you go. That's what he's missing.
I mean, it's hard to vote for a guy who's playing 250 points down, but at the same time,
I
that's,
think
that's
you
a
allied
serious set of
Loki.
balls.
It's not. It's Austin. He'll be okay with it because he's used to playing that much down anyway.
Sure. That's how you get better. You play.
That's how you get better.
You know,
Let's start
Goku
with a
fought with
handicap.
right. Goku fought with weighted clothes. He fights 250 points down.
Well, I guess I'll put the. We'll make Matt go after that first, since even though it's a little, we'll just assume he's doing something smart with the remainder of the 250 points.
I'm assuming there's a regiment of Wraiths in there, so it's 2 troops and a regiment, so really it's 50 points we're unaccounted for.
Yeah.
If it were me, those 50 points are on the Lycanus as the other explosion, because exploding Lycanus, they can just get anywhere, and that would actually be pretty scary.
Exploding Wraith troops are also pretty similar too. I
Yeah,
remember
he actually has some. He has some great targets for that. For the crystal pendant, he may or may not have bought.
He's
Well,
just gonna
when
hit
it-
with
it-
the bright,
it
you know?
could have been on the
That's where
Revenants,
he told
too.
me it was going on the regiment.
I
of
mean-
Wraiths, so I assume that's what's happening here. So
I mean, but if he bought a separate crystal pendant in addition to the chip, having on the Revenants who have Regen 5 and Life Leech 2 means that you want to one-shot them, which is very hard to do. And that's a good target for it too.
So this undead list, I don't. It's weird, but like, there's trends within Kings of War, right? Like people, not just because of the rules, but people just sort of find things that are popular at a time, and a lot of armies pop up at GTs with them, and then they kind of go away, and they come back and go away, and this feels like a 2017-ish like sort of undead list with the mummies and the normal Revenant King on an undead worm. Morgoth going around. It feels like an old list. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that some people might not be used to some of these tricks coming back up, coming back out of nowhere. They're used to the newer style, and the old tricks are still going to be there. So I like it. I think it's a pretty tight little undead list. It's got a lot of good pieces. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. I don't know if it's going to win yet. I need to look back at the Rakin list, but it's definitely cool.
I'm totally gonna make him play with only the 2,000 points, just to see if he can pull it off.
The undead list, like Brendan said, it's interesting because it feels kind of like that classic undead list. And it's pretty good, but I don't see the weight of attacks that it needs to be able to chew through Zach's Rakin list.
No, not a chance.
I mean, beyond the Soul Reaper infantry, of course, who have a ton, and yeah, the undead list is tanky as well, and there's a heal 12 in it. Shock troops will chew through just about anything, and those Night Terrors should be able to get around corners as well, as long as they don't get locked down by Wraiths.
Night Terrors are so good. They might as well be Knuckers. I mean, they're so nice. I love Night Terrors.
I mean, offensively, they're the exact same as Lycanus, but they save 30 points by relying on other units to give it better nerf and not having inspiring.
I love Night Terrors.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. I've played against this rat list too, against Zach using this rat list, and he is good with it. He's really good with it. And I did have, the weight of attacks to bring it down, and one whiff turn was all it took for me to just be buried under rat bodies.
That happens real fast, yeah. I remember that happened to me last Lone Wolf against Matthew Schaefer. I got it. I got a snakes on the wrong unit, and it just was GG after that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to not only play against this list properly, but have the dice gods on your side um, to take it out in any type of objective based scenario.
And I hate any sort of battle plan that has the word hope in it.
that's how I play all my tournaments.
I know, Brian. That's why you hit where you do.
Oh, how'd you do at Lone Wolf, Matt?
I was above you, wasn't I?
No, I don't think you were, bro.
I'm pretty sure I was.
I mean, we can double check it real quick.
1 second. I'm pulling up war
Oh,
score.
okay.
It's going to be a
You go ahead and pull it up.
challenge next Lone Wolf.
Brian can
I'd be
challenge
okay with
me,
that.
but I don't challenge down. So
Oh,
So Matt, did you pull it up yet?
I'm working on it.
'Cause I have it right
Oh,
here.
Okay,
Let's
tell
do
me, Pat.
just
Am I
real
talking
quick.
shit for nothing?
Is this based on battle or is this based on overall? Because I think in this case it should be based on battle.
I'm with you.
oh,
I'm with you.
see, I'm totally overall here. That's how I go into my tournament purely for overall. I make sure I get that nice even amount of everything.
I'm getting it up, Pat. So you go ahead and get it up.
He's getting it
Oh,
up.
I have it up.
Out of context.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I'd-
so
I'd
here
like
we
to know
have-
about Lone Wolf, not how many people are getting it up.
I had a bad tournament at Lone Wolf. I'm with you there.
Brian Broder
Let's see.
at 13th overall.
Whoa! I had no idea you did so good, Brian.
And
Oh,
59
man.
battle points.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And then
yeah,
let's
my
just
battle-
scroll
job.
down. Let's see how long it takes. Oh, there's Matt Young.
Oh, there he is, back at 18.
18 overall, but we said battle and still lower than Brian.
Oh,
Okay.
bro. Oh, man. So, yeah,
right.
you can go ahead and challenge me then, if
You
you'd
coming
like.
to Alamo, Brian?
I am.
It's on.
Come get some.
It's on. That's it. This is the challenge right here.
Done.
Fuck you.
Bring it. I like it. All right, so swing back around. Now that we got that sorted.
This is the master ogre right here. Just so you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
already
so
on that
with-
list.
with this undead list, people have said it before, but like it doesn't have the volume. It also doesn't have the quality. Mummies are on 4s, wraiths are on 4s, revenants are on 4s. He's facing 6 hordes of rats, a
He's not
colossal
going to
giant,
chew it.
and a bunch of other stuff. It's just, God, that's like, I kind of wish the Ratkin list had something a little punchier somewhere in it, but that is just bodies,
Sharpness,
bodies.
shock troops, and strength shock troops. That's pretty punchy.
Yeah, it's good.
And then blessing
It's
the
good.
god nightmares.
I think I'm just like addicted to the damn Varangur like allies that Corey brings. That any other rat list that doesn't have like Sons of Gorgon in it feels weird. So yeah, I'm giving it to the rats. It's a cool undead list. It'll do well against other armies if it's not just facing a wall of fur. But I just don't, unless he's really tricky and he just does some amazing surge 15 moves out of nowhere. Yeah, it's even if he does, like he pops one of those, great, 5 more, cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Can I say one thing that's kind of I don't know if it's maybe given away too much of a strategy consideration for this game. So if I shouldn't talk strategy, I'll hold on to it.
Oh,
I think
I've
that's
given up
what this is
way too
for,
much strategy
Michael.
throughout these two
Strategy-
casts.
Tom, every time we don't talk strategy, Tom starts talking shit. So talk strategy.
Go ahead.
This one's for you, Tom.
This is Bison, bro. You can talk all you want.
No, I think that Zach has a really strong edge in this list, unless he has his units stacked up real tight. Because if he does, if he's got some units just chilling behind, Horde of Tunnel Slaves or something, and Austin just parks Morgoth in front of a stack of rat hordes, they're not going anywhere the whole game. They're just out. They're done. He's not getting any of those points because nothing like the Tunnel Slaves, or not the Tunnel Slaves, the Shock Troops can get through Morgoth in after like a while, but nothing else is going to get through Morgoth.
Okay.
That is something I did to Nick McAlonis with Ilona. I just parked Ilona in front of Tunnel Slaves in a forest and made it so the shock troops behind couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, but the difference there is Alone is eventually going to kill the slaves.
Oh no, she just sat there.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
You don't even charge.
you don't do that. You just say, okay, I'm going to steal this 2 or 3 hordes away from you for this game.
All right.
Morgoth might not even take any damage, so he just doesn't even face them and just shoots at other things halfway across the board.
Oh, I mean the thing is, he can do that with troops of wraiths, and they don't have a great chance of getting through that at any time quickly, other than
Oh,
a
yeah.
lucky nerve roll.
Yeah. I mean, the difference being that Morgoth, you can literally just drop him anywhere within 20 inches that you need him to just hole up a whole
Yeah.
area.
Okay. So Mike, sounds like you're leaning toward Austin then, assuming he's got the reg.
If he has all of his points, no. I still think that on an objective based game, if Zach doesn't do that one thing, which is stack up super tight, I don't think Austin is going to be able to get through Zach's stuff efficiently
Okay.
enough.
And Britton, I've got you down for Zach as well.
That's the Rockkin player, right?
Correct.
I'm terrible with names, so yeah, I just vote on Army usually.
Uh-huh.
Also, it makes it seem less personal because I'm all about being fair and.
See, I'm totally all about.
Yeah, I
personal.
totally heard that Tom and Tim.
Tom and Tim.
That was
apologize.
all about being fair, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Britton?
What was he playing
apologize.
again?
I should have referred to it as the Basilian Gentleman and the Abyssal Lawyer.
They're both lawyers, you know.
I know. So many lawyers in this game.
It's so true. All the worst players are lawyers. Kind of like in life, you know. All the worst people are lawyers.
Pat.
I'm gonna go with Zach. He plays really well, and he has enough bodies that even if his dice go to shit, which it oftentimes does, he can just sit on top of objectives and win the game.
Okay. Gotcha. Matt, second ogre player at Lone Wolf.
Second ogre. No. A lone wolf. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I can bring it back up again.
No.
We can double check it.
That's me not listening.
How about you?
Excuse me. No.
Are we grading by something else other than battle or overall?
I'm just saying at Masters we played round 1 and I beat the shit out of you, so that's all.
There
I'm
was no
saying.
beating the shit. What was that dominate we had? Good.
Oh, dude,
God.
it was the worst. I was like, and when I was playing against you, I was thinking like, okay, just don't be dominate, because that's like, that's the I win ogres scenario, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like anything but dominate and dominate. I'm like, well,
Yeah,
there
that
goes
was-
an easy win.
That
you
was
know?
the worst.
Yeah, we played, and then I may or may not have gotten best ogre for Masters, but we'll leave that up to War Score and the plaque that's hanging on my wall. One of the two,
changed a lot. This last year there's new stuff. Clearly can't adjust. Anyway, what was your vote?
My vote's for Radkin. I'm really a big proponent of boys before toys, and I love nerve. That's the only thing I don't like about ogres. Until they added this thing called a colossal giant. We don't have a lot of nerve, but man, I'm just looking at that rats, and I can't see anything realistically chewing through that much nerve.
All right, Billy and Travis. Either or, all the both.
We both have agreed on Zach for this one.
Oh, landslide for Zach.
I think that's our first landslide.
I think it is for tonight. We had a few.
John was a landslide. John Green.
We had the Robbie versus Mark Bryce. It was also a landslide, and for some reason, the Drew versus Ryan Smith was a landslide. I'm not sure how the hell that happened.
And you can't really count. You can't really count me versus Pat because Pat's gonna vote for his fucking self, So.
As you do. All right, moving on to table 17. We have.
I just
Jordan
want to point
Ward.
out that the only person who voted for Matt was Matt.
That is true. Totally true. All right, table 17. We have Jordan Lawrence playing his Salamanders versus Vince Hunn playing his Ogres. Matt, if you want to go ahead and read an ogre list, that might actually work. And then Jordan, if you if you Billy, if you want to go ahead and read Jordan's list, I'd appreciate it.
I might know what I'm talking about if I'm talking about ogres. All right. Starting off, Vince, we got 3 hordes of warriors. Looks like we got 2. One second, hold up here. One with normal abilities, and then 2 dropping 2-handed weapons. So lower defense there and higher crushing. We got 3 hordes of shooters. Not my favorite unit, but that is a lot of firepower nonetheless. 2 captains, both with the heavy crossbow.
Nice. I don't see that often.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool. 2 bigots, one with the Bison ship. Yes, two pendants here. 1 crystal pendant and 1 Bison ship. On flea bags, which is the only way to take goblin bigots, so that's awesome. And not 1, but 2 colossal giants. Because why not?
Exactly.
I love those exploding items on the bigots. That's awesome.
Dude, I
Yeah,
was
that's
not
the
liking
best
this
place.
list up at the top, and then I just keep rolling down. I'm like, all right, I'm with you now.
Yeah, that's the best place for those things. It turns into being such a pain in the ass. All right, and then Billy, if you want to go ahead and roll into it, or Travis.
Yeah. All right. So we got salamanders here. Got a horde of salamander primes. Exchange 2-hand weapons or exchange the shield for the 2-hand weapons. And they have the dwarven nail. Got 2 regiments of ancients. One with the skull pole, the other one with the warbow of Kaba. Got a horde of Gekatan warriors. Horde of tyrants. The warriors have the hammer measuring force. The tyrants have the bison ship. Gekatan sky raiders with the jar of the four winds as per usual. Ancient rhinoceros with the caterpillar. We got a horde of that. 1, 2, 3 lychelodons. Got the Ankylodon battle platform with the spout the blow pipes for fireball. Got a clan lord with the wings of the honey maze and the inspiration of the ancients formation.
Alrighty, Matt, you want to hop on that first?
Sure. So he's got a lot of defense 4 stuff, and they've got some plink shooting for sure. One of those firebolts range 18 inches on the Lyclodon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the shooters definitely outrange anything that he has to shoot. The bigots are really good. Nothing, I mean, like, a colossal giant will not make your list worst. 2 will not make your list worst. I really am not a big fan of captains, but I can see why he took them with the crossbows. I really like the fact that I was expecting more crystal pendants, a double crystal pendants, in this list, so I can see why he took a lot of shooting. I know what I'd do with his list with shooters and warriors, and I like the 2-handed weapons guys. I think they're gonna take some fire. He's gonna lose one of them before they even get into combat. I can't vote against ogres. I know what I do with the ogres list. I think it could win. I'm gonna vote for my boy, Vince here.
Alrighty.
Alexa,
Billy
stop.
or Travis? Either one of you guys or both. I'm okay with hearing from both of you.
Can you come back to us? I'm looking at a couple more things.
Oh, you're such a liar. You just want to hear more opinions, you jackass. All right, Britton, what you thinking?
So I like when an army has a naked plan. Like, you look at it and you're immediately like, oh, I know what this is trying to do to murder me. And that's what this ogre list feels like.
For sure.
It's like, hey, we got these guys, and then we got shooters, then we got captains with shooters, Then we got stuff that blows up when you try and get to our shooters. And then we've got colossal giants that punch you in the face when you try and get to our. It's the like simple early Kings of War player in me likes it when you. It's not like a nuanced list. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some tricks and there's some skill in playing it, but like you know what it's trying to do, and it's just can the other side stop that plan?
And what's so good about shooters, and this is something the only reason I even like shooters to begin with, and the reason I like boomers more, is when you get close to them, you're like that's still an ogre horde. I mean, like it's still gonna punch you in the face. So you
Yeah.
get through all that crap that's protecting them, and they're gonna charge you, and you're gonna wish they didn't.
So I have PTSD from my first game of Kings of War ever. A local player was nice enough. We sort of arranged it online, and you have that awkward like meet at a game store and play this new game. And I was playing Kingdoms of Men, and I thought I had the game all figured out from reading the rulebook once. And then he put down two hordes of ogre shooters, one with the Brew of Keen Eyeness on a hill in his deployment zone in the corner, and just proceeded to table me, like which isn't great form for like for a demo game to play 2,000 points and table your opponent.
Welcome to
But
Kings.
it so somewhere deep in my like lizard brain is stored a like fear of ogre shooters that I can't get over, and it's coming up now. It's bubbling up like bile as I just look at this.
Well, I mean
Um,
that's not one or two hordes. That is three hordes of
it's
shooters.
three, and
That's
then
serious business.
some fucking captains and stuff. I don't know. It's just like I don't even know if it works. It just feels painful.
I
So
had
I'm
a
looking.
I had a
I'm looking
list
at
like
this.
this right when Cox started, and I ran two horde shooters and then two mammoths with the ballistas
Mhm.
and lightning bolts from all the buffed ogres, and then just cheap warriors in the front, and it works pretty well. I moved to my boomer list that y'all all pick shit at, but it works for sure. I didn't mind the shooters. I'm not saying they're my favorite, but they work.
Yeah. So I'm looking over at the lizard list partially just to get my eyes off of the ogre list. And
You don't
its
have to do
effect.
that.
Cry. So you
Its
don't have
effect on me.
nightmares tonight?
Yeah. I don't. I just don't want to cry on camera again.
I guess.
10 times is enough. So the salamander list is cool. It's kind of taking what everyone has decided are like the good little tricks, right? Like Gekata Sky Raiders, which are 4 wins. Hammer of Measured Force on the Gekata Warriors makes that a cool little single unit. The Ancients formation is good. The I would have loved to see a second Crystal Pendant on that Prime horde. That that would have been fun. Like Ancients on Rhinosaur, give them like it's all the kind of good stuff and a battle platform. Um,
And he's a good player too.
so yeah, he's a good player. It's a beautiful army. It's kind of the like expected thing. He's got the Clan Lord for a little disruption. Um, and I feel like that ogre list is a little unoptimized. Like it's optimized for what he's trying to do, but it's not quite the most powerful build path in my mind. And this salamander list is kind of like a really good or strong salamander list, but from a weaker army kind of overall, possibly. So I think they're kind of evenly matched, but I'm going to edge it towards the salamanders because I can't vote for those shooters.
So salamanders definitely will have an uphill battle because while salamanders have a lot of shooting, it's all so short range.
Yep.
Because like Helidons won't be able to shoot until turn 2, and that's after moving at the double once, first turn, or over 6 inches.
Which could be up to 2 turns of them taking shooter fire
Yeah.
if ogres go first.
The ogre list can reliably, on average, does like 14 to 15 wounds against defense 5 a turn, from 36 inches away. And most of Jordan's stuff is speed 5 or speed 6. So
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be a pretty uphill battle. And the ogres are fast enough that if he sits on the back line and shoots, and even if it's invade, he can just move at the double and score later in the turn when there's not much left. Um, and it's just unfortunate that a lot of Jordan's shooting fire, or range attacks, except for the battle platform, melt to counter fire pretty well, easily. That being said, Jordan does have a lot of targets. And all of those targets are pretty dangerous to those ogres, since all of the ogres are defense 4. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I don't think it's going to be an auto win either way. It's definitely going to depend
No, for sure.
on a lot of different on scenario and stuff like that. But I do think
I
it's going to
think-
be uphill for the Salamanders.
Yeah, I think that whatever happens, Jordan is going to be complaining to you, Brian, that you needed more terrain on your tables.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Honestly, round
so
one. So my tables have a decent amount of terrain. Plus, I've got a lot of height 2 blocking stuff. Plus, my tournament has been kind of designed for the way I play, which is kind of I hate shooting. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
The other thing is like
By the way,
there's
I'm gonna plug your terrain real quick, Brian. You posted that on Countercharge and in the Bison Brawl page. It looks pretty nice.
Thank you.
I really
Appreciate it.
like that Skaven table. That Skaven table looks so cool. But all of it looks really good. You did a good job. I'm really excited to play on those tables.
What are Skaven? What are these Skaven you speak of?
You know-
the Radkin table.
You know, the thing that
Ratkin.
everyone knows
The
Ratkin
Ratkin
are
table.
based off of. You know, that thing.
Yeah.
So I do like that we brought up the like amount of targets that I always feel like when I'm in trouble against a gunline, I'm like, well, I have so many things. Maybe he'll pick the wrong one. That's always like my last hope. It's like just the amount of targets I have is my grasping at straws for getting to the other side of the board. So hopefully it works.
I mean, looking at the tables, there's definitely a couple tables that Jordan is not going to like to play on.
It depends. It depends how terrain's set.
I'm guessing terrain is preset, right, Brian?
Right. I'll be presetting the terrain for day 1, and then I'll move stuff around on day 2.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit different. So that if you end up on the same table, it won't be completely different. Or excuse me, it won't be completely the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you see as far as those pictures goes, that's how much terrain is going to be on those tables.
For the most part, there's a lot of places that Jordan can get cover or hide, but there's like 1 or 2 tables where it's like height 0 in the center. That Jordan's gonna have a bad time if he gets that table.
Which saying that means 100% he's getting that table.
Oh yeah, because it's Jordan.
Thanks for that. You just cursed him.
Dude, I
Appreciate it.
remember at CCC last year, I was playing Steven Hausnick, and he got the same table 3 times in a row, and it had 4 forests on it, and he was playing all these like mummies that just were getting hinder charged the whole time.
Sucks.
And he wanted off it so bad when we played, but it just like we got set to that table. And the other one he had, I wouldn't have cared if it was like more beneficial terrain, but it was like, I don't know if y'all played CCC, but Todd has those like weird MDF, like crazy, impossible to stand on terrain pieces. And I was like, I'm not playing on that, Steve. I'm sorry.
You're talking about the elfin table?
Whatever Eldar or something,
Yeah.
I think is what it was supposed to be. It's like the worst terrain I've ever seen.
It looks cool, but it is very impractical.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
It does look
yeah.
cool, but I'm all about playability, and I don't care if it looks good. If it looks good and is playable, that's great. That's a win. But I'll sacrifice quite a bit of looks for playability.
So, Pat, it sounded like you were voting for Vince.
I can't vote against my a Titan, so I'll go for Jordan.
All right.
I mean, it's both a Titan and a fellow Lizard player.
Okay.
Hipster lists.
Hipsters. Britton, just make sure
Well-
you voted for Jordan, and
Yeah,
Matt, you
yeah.
voted for Vince.
That's right. Yep.
So, Mike, that leaves you. Since Billy
Oh,
want to wait
shoot,
till
let's
everybody
do
else's
that.
opinions are out.
We'll go.
Okay. Oh, you guys want me to get in something before Mike fills in all the gaps?
Yes, you can't blame us taking everybody's stuff. No, we basically come to an agreement of we can't vote for this ogre army, so
Oh, I see how it is.
we're gonna go with Jordan on this one.
Just because it's ogres, or is there something better for reasoning?
I don't like shooting either, so
All right,
So,
so be it. All right, so we got 3 for Jordan, 1 for Vince. Mike, it's up to you. What's going on?
Oh yeah, there's no way in hell that I'm voting for a 64 shot shooting ogre list. That's just as low interaction as it gets. It's just gross.
He's
And
gonna
yeah,
have a little tough round one. So
I've got I've got to vote for Jordan on this one.
okay. All right, 4 for Jordan, 1 for Vince. That leads us into table 8, which is our last table for the evening. And we had a late sign up, and my ringer Lance Hatcher is playing. So we've got Michael Sigler playing Kingdoms of Men, and Lance Hatcher, who's my ringer, he is playing Ogres. If Matt, if you want to go ahead and take Lance's list again, because this
Sure.
list is completely different.
Yeah.
And Pat, what do you think about taking Mike's list?
Sure.
There. All right.
All right. So Lance has ogres. He's got a horde of warriors, defense 5, normal. 2 berserker brave hordes. 1 shooter horde with the blessing of the gods, so they're elite. He's got a boomer horde with the potion of the caterpillar. That's an interesting pick. Not, I mean, they might charge, but that's interesting. I like that. I'm interested. Red Goblin Scouts, 2 troops, great chaff, great whackers, great scorers. An army standard with the banner of the Griffin. Got some defense, some rally 1 in there. Warlock, he's got both of these with Fireball 12. 1 with the amulet of Fireheart, being able to pump that lightning and that fireball into 1 unit. The other one with the inspiring talisman to inspire the rest of the unit. And I apologize, it's on the next page. He has 3 warlocks with fireball. The last one has the heart seeking chant, so it's got fireball 12 with piercing. And don't forget, those warlocks are buffed by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hordes that these ogres took. We've got a red goblin bigot with the diadem of dragon kind. I don't know where his potion thing is.
On the Warriors.
Warriors. Okay, cool. So Warriors have the only pretty much. Well, no, there's 2 Berserker Braves. So the Warriors have the pendant, and then we have the Colossal Giant. Pretty much a staple for any army that has it available. So that's going to round it out for a pretty solid ogre list. Nothing crazy here, but a little bit of everything.
And Pat, then.
All right. Michael Siegler is bringing the Kingdoms of Men, which you don't see very often. He's got the double polearm block regiments. Love those guys. 2 hordes of militia mobs. 1 with Staying Stone and 1 with Skull Puller. That's interesting placement of those items. He's got a bowman horde, 3 regiments of knights, 2 troops of mounted scouts with the bows. He's got 2 cannons. He's got a wizard on a Pegasus, and looks like he kept the fireball on it, and with Bane Chant and Inspiring. He's got the captain on a horse. He's got a beast of war with the shooting attack and a baby giant. And his chip is on one of the unit of scouts. That's a really interesting list. Does he play a historical army? This almost feels like a historical list.
I'm not familiar with this player. He's out of Kansas. I did touch out to the Kansas players, and they stated that he's gone to, I think, one of their tournaments, but that he's not part of like their club. So he's kind of an unknown at this point. So I'm not sure if he's a historical player or not, kind of traditionally. But yeah, he kind of came at the last minute, and yeah, it's kind of an
Nice.
unknown. I like it. We don't get very many unknowns nowadays. As far as usually somebody's got some info on them.
Well, both of these lists have a little bit of everything, which will kind of put it to be all right. I mean, the ogre list has a pretty heavy warlock buff.
I mean, this is a Hatcher list. I mean, if it's in left field, he's gonna freaking do it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be left field and it's gonna have a good amount of shooting, but in a weird way.
I'd
Yeah.
prefer boomer sarges to those warlocks for what they're doing. Yeah,
He wants to get those warlocks working.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, they get more hits, but they don't have piercing, so I think it's going to kind of even out.
They got the longer
So-
range too, though.
So
With
I
the
have a
lightning
question
bolt,
about-
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I have a question about the ringer situation here. Is this a he built his own list, bringing his own stuff, and is trying to win every game like as best he can, and it's just playing for free because he might not get to play if it was odd, or what's the deal with the ringer? In this
So the way it works is that because I've got an oddball amount of people, I've got basically Lance Hatcher's my guy in reserve. He is to play as if he is trying to win. Lance Hatcher, I don't think he's like a top 5 player. He comes up, honestly, he's really good at making oddball lists and making them go great, but he is mid to kind of above mid grade player. But he offered up, he's a local guy, he offered up to be my oddball guy out just in case we ended up with an odd amount of players, and that's
Awesome.
what happening here. So Michael came in at the last minute, which means Lance had to step up since he was just kind of sitting in reserve. And so unless for some oddball reason I get another sign up here in the next 2 to 3 days, Lance will be playing him. And if I get
Yeah.
somebody else, then yeah, they'll be playing Michael instead of Lance.
So the main reason I was checking is that means that potion of the caterpillar on the boomers is a legitimate fucking choice someone made.
Oh, absolutely. Even if he was going to like Lone Wolf, that would be on Lance's list. Absolutely.
Like I thought this was when I read that, I thought this was like your weird give the ringer a bad list choice.
No, no. This is just
Like,
a
what
Lance.
is that?
This is just a Hatcher list. That's why when we pointed out Lance Brown's list earlier, that was kind of off in left field. We were just like, oh, that's gotta be a Hatcher list, because Hatcher likes to come up with these little like oddball things that you don't see very often.
He once took
And-
5 troops of Gekatal hunters with bows. Like,
It's true.
I mean, that's
That-
and then at Masters, if you remember, he had like 4 hordes of Ember Sprites.
This is true.
Yeah, but that,
Oh, that's
that makes
this guy.
more.
Yeah.
That
Was
makes
he the
more
one that,
sense to me?
Then
Then,
Bat Caterpillar and Boomers. I get
yeah.
it, yeah. Especially considering they're Braves and Warriors to put Caterpillar on.
it's
No.
maybe.
There's a lot of weird things in this ogre list. Potion to caterpillar and the boomers. I don't like the fact that there's shooters and boomers in this list either. I'd prefer him to double up on one or the other. And then, I mean, he's got good things in here too, though. He's got 2 hordes of red goblin scouts. He's got the warriors are fine. I'm not a huge fan of berserkers if you're not gonna kind of. Well, I mean, never
He's got
mind.
the warlocks. I mean, that's exactly it. So.
That's not a thing anymore, though. I mean, yeah, the warlocks.
he's
They
he's
still
giving me
inspire.
inspiring,
I mean, they inspire them. That's it. That's all you got.
but
Might
if
be
you're
all he
looking,
has painted.
he's lacking inspiring though.
I mean, I love the Berserkers. They hits on average more. They get more hits than Warriors do. The dash 18 is really nice. I mean, if I played ogres and the Grokkamount Scout formation wasn't a thing, I'd bring Berserkers.
Would you pay 10 points for a hit, Pat?
It's for 3 hits.
$10.
Oh, no. That's not what I said. I said, would you pay 10 points for a hit?
For one
A
extra hit on average in
and
combat?
Fearless, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think one extra hit
Also,
on average in combat for 10 points is a steal.
also shout out that those are some of Mantic's best ogres, along with the hunters.
They look
The
good.
hunters and the berserkers,
They
yeah.
do look good. Yeah. The worst units in the ogre list work the best. Look the best. Hunters are good situationally. It just depends on your matchup. I mean, they could be better than warriors depending on what
They're
you're
amazing
after.
in that formation.
The
Yeah,
formation.
yeah, no, I'm with you. They're really good. It depends on your matchup. If you're after a really heavy shooting army, you're wishing you didn't have them. But if you're
So
after a normal
quickly-
list,
To not just talk about the weird ogre list. So I don't have much insider info on this Sigler character. I looked in my data set, and it appears he attended Bug Eater and played Herd there. I think
Did he?
that might be true. Um,
I think he went to Border Wars then too, so that means 2 tournaments. So this will be his 3rd.
how many people were at Border Wars?
Yeah, there was less than I think what your cap is going for. I want to
Okay,
say there
cool.
was like 10 or 12.
Yeah, then I don't. That one doesn't exist in my spreadsheet. So he it's not a slight. It's just that's why he didn't show up there. I play Kingdoms of Men fairly a lot locally. I don't take them to tournaments because it's historical armies that I've collected over 20 years, so they don't show very well as an appearance army.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, this is kind of a weird Kingdoms of Men list. He has some really cool stuff in it. Knights are just bog standard knights are great. Knights with the captain kind of chasing them around to giving them all like 16, 18 nerf is cool. Using the captain's ability to like flip the Beast of War to a new location is one of those neat tricks. And he has a giant and a Beast of War to play fun captain shenanigans with. He has the wizard on a Pegasus, which is a nice cheap sort of flyer, but he made him more expensive.
I really wish I had lightning bolt on that Pegasus wizard.
Yeah, I mean, you can just make that swap for free. It'd be nice if he had done that. Mounted scouts, I hate. Militia mob are fine. Like, there's just a lot of weird choices, and then like 2 cannons. Like they're not
That's
good.
why I was thinking historical, mainly just the unit choices definitely scream um, like it's either some theme or some or just model
I'm
choice.
thinking like I'm also thinking possibly like ex Empire player from the
True.
game that shall not be named. Like he's got cannons, he's got a wizard on a Pegasus, he's got you know some militia mobs, which I think I could know what those would be. It could easily be a historical army. I think it's got a lot of. It's like Kingdoms of Men. This is one version of Kingdoms of Men where you just take a sprinkling of everything. None of it's very good on its own, but you just have so much of it that you end up sort of overwhelming the other person with this wall of like average troops. I just think it's unoptimized for doing that. Like
I wish you had more
the
regiments.
scouts.
Like the
Yeah,
polearm
like
blocks are good, but only 2 of them. You can't really do as much fun stuff with them.
Yep. So yeah, I don't love it, but I don't love the ogre list either. But I think the ogre list has enough to deal with it.
I think this is a good matchup, though. We've got both kind of 2 one of everything lists here. I mean, for Kingdoms of Men, it's 2 of everything, but it's the same kind of idea. Kingdoms of Men have cheap units. It's just kind of both of these lists look like something kind of a new player would make, and there's kind of a real kind of visceral like to that. I mean, neither one of these look like tournament lists to me, and both of these look like they'd be really fun to play.
I will
It's
say,
so
Lance's list actually looks pretty focused on being able to shoot the crap out of you.
Which one does?
The ogre list, Lance's. Because
Ah,
and in his list, I like the difference between the boomers and the shooters. Because you're looking at anywhere between most likely 15 lightning bolts, but as high as like 20 on top of the shooters. And then you have boomers and a diadem and the
you know,
fireball.
that's interesting. I didn't think about the fact that lightning bolt's better with shooters and fireball's better with boomers. That's
Um,
interesting.
So there's, I mean, this
And
is the
that's
thing.
what
Like
Lance was hoping for.
I really want to hope. I really want to root for the Kingdoms of Men. I love Kingdoms of Men as one of those sort of like I see them out there, them in Brotherhood, and I'm like, oh, cool, humans. I hope they do well. I just think this one's going to get tore up. Like its good units are so obviously it's good units, and so are taller than everything else in this army, and
Yeah,
waiting to just
yeah.
get
Shot up.
entirely blasted away.
Hmm.
That he's going to be stuck trying to kill ogres with a bunch of militia mob, unbuffed, bowmen and like mounted scouts, and it's just not gonna be enough. So, yeah.
Okay. I got you down for Lance then.
Yeah.
Ogres. Ready. Matt, what was your Your vote.
Britain's right. I'm not voting for this because it's the ogre army, which I'm not even gonna say. I'm not even gonna lie. That's what I did last matchup. This one, I have two armies that both I think could be better optimized, but um, the Kingdoms of Men unit is going to lose everything that's important very quickly. And after that's done, it's just going to be better suited for combat because that's what ogres do versus militia mobs and whatever else is left. What do they have other than militia mobs? There's something else in there other than the knights.
Militia mobs have Staying Stone and Skullpore, which I feel like
Yeah.
both of those could have been better on the knights.
Yep. So I don't think they're going to hold up here.
All right. I'll get you down for Lance. Billy?
Also,
Slash Trevor.
one
Go ahead.
quick thing. From playing Kingdoms of Men a lot, the thing that sort of happens at the end of the game is you have a bunch of these big blocks of troops that are wounded, and the last thing you want to see is all of this random like plink shooting that will just start taking away every wounded. Like turn 5, turn 6, if there's a turn 7, all that stuff's just gonna get ruined.
That's a real thing. That's one thing I
Yeah.
love about the list I have currently. It's if you get the turn 7, you start when you're
there's
not
just
expecting to.
there's no heal, there's no regen, there's no
Yep.
way to you don't have any Iron Resolve, you don't have Life Leech, you don't have any of that stuff. So.
Nope. All right, Billy, Travis, either or, both.
Yeah, what you laughing about over there, Billy?
I know. I hear Travis over there laughing.
Many things. I think we're leaning towards Lance for this one.
Okay. Any commentary? Any reason for it? Just because she flipped
Because
the
he's the
coin?
ringer.
Because he's the ringer. Just because.
All right, someone needs to give we can't have a landslide for the ringer. Someone needs to vote the other way.
No, we've still got Mike and Pat. Mike, what you thinking?
Give me the Kingdoms of Men army.
There you
There we
go. Boom, done.
The hipster votes for the hipster. There we go.
Vote for the new guy. Pat, what you thinking?
I mean, Lance is pretty hipster in itself, but that ogre army is just a lot more focused than the Kingdoms of Men army. So if I was looking purely list on list, which without knowing Siegler, I think I kind of have to. I would go on the ogres.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, gives 4 to Lance and 1 to Michael. And that wraps up table 18, which is the end of all our matchups for Bison Brawl. Does anybody have any last words or shout outs they'd like to give?
Are we doing picks for overall winner or anything?
Yeah, we should do that.
Sure, totally. Britton, since you suggested it, have at it.
I shouldn't have suggested it. I was just bringing up the list of people.
No, totally.
So because I have to go first, I'm gonna do the jerk move of picking like 4 different armies. And yeah, I think Nick Michelonis Undead is extremely nasty and has a good chance of doing terrible things to people. I think Aaron's list is really cool and extremely dangerous. I think Garrett's list after his game 1 loss can submarine back, and with good sports and other stuff has a shot. And then I think the Trident Realm list from Dustin has a really good army as well.
So pretty much Dojo minus Tom plus Garrett.
I was getting ready to say like that sounds pretty focused fire there. If you had to pick one, who would you pick?
It's tough for me to pick out of those. They're just, how all of this goes. So I'm gonna go with Dustin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And now that I picked first, the rest of you can make me look stupid.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'll go.
Let's put Matt on the spot, and then Billy, you're gonna be up next. You better be ready.
I've got 2 picks. All right, so
Only get one.
All right, cool. Well, let me say both, and then I'll give you one. One, I really expected a lot more double pendants. So you'll see that my list, normally I either pick 3 Boomer Sarges in one horde or 2 Boomer hordes in like 1 or 2 Sarges. I went with like everything I could find because I was expecting 2 units that I did not want to fuck with in melee. And that's just not the case. I think I saw like 3, 4 lists that went double pendant. So I think Tom Annis has a decent shot because he has a list that really can't deal with the pendant, but he's not going to have to deal with as many as he thinks he was going to have to deal with. So I think that Alpha Strike list would look good. Aaron Chapman's wouldn't look terrible either. Pat, on the other hand, Mr. former U.S. Master, I think has a good list with
I'm playing
good sna-
salamanders. My general mode of operation is a win loss win loss.
I'm gonna give you my dark horse, Pat. One, I think you have a good mix of shooting that definitely is going to be able to take out the crystal pennant every round reliably. And you have enough that can pack up too. And don't play it like you can't play salamanders because you can. You've been fucking around with them for 2 years now.
I think that's
Yeah, and
exactly
when
it.
it
Fucking around with
and
him.
and when it
Oh,
comes to a
bullshit.
real, see, the thing with Pat is you can tell how serious he's taking the tournament by the fact he's taking salamanders.
No. I'm gonna give Pat. I think I would like to vote Dustin, but there's a lot of shooting in all these lists because they were expecting the crystal pendant, and that's gonna have a hard time dealing with Dustin's army.
All right, so Tom with Pat being your dark horse.
There you go.
Okay.
That's what I'm giving you. Yep.
All right, we'll go with Billy / Travis. What you thinking?
Travis is currently reviewing the picks that he missed.
All right. We'll flip over to. We'll go with Michael then.
I don't know anything about. All right, so what are we talking about here? We talking about battle? We talking about overall?
I would assume battle.
Battle. Not knowing anything about a lot of these players' paint, I'm gonna just say what my thoughts on battle. And I think I'm gonna have to go with Garrett. Garrett's Bizzledorf list, I think, is gonna give. It's got a very good chance to give most of his opponents a really, really hard time. Just how to approach that list.
It's got a lot of shooting, a lot of nerve, and a good amount of kill.
It's basically, I mean, if he can get through Aaron round one, I think he can just win the tournament. Especially because day 2 he's not going to have to face Aaron.
And it is an army that takes advantage of double crystal pendant well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Tom did point out that Mike won by the last time he took his orcs. And that was also a time where he didn't play since Lone Wolf. So, I mean, it is lining up for it.
It'd be nice if it wasn't a dojo or a titan at the top.
You got to get a Lamadillo win.
Yeah, where is this tournament? Like, what part of Texas?
It's in the hat.
In the hat of Texas.
Okay.
It's
Sorry, I my people decided to go shit on me. Sorry, Mike, I missed your vote. What was that?
I said Garrett. If we're assuming we're talking battle, just because I don't know at all what his army looks like, but I think on battle, Garrett has a really good chance to take top battle.
Okay. All right. Let Travis and Billy review some more. So Pat, what are you thinking? Sorry.
So I feel like Nick, Matt Carmack, Garrett, and Aaron all have really good chances to win a tournament. But with Garrett playing Aaron and Matt playing Nick, like, I feel like some of their hardest matchups are right there at the front.
Yep.
But But Matt, I mean, he has a lot of nerves. He has a lot of shooting, so he should be able to take out crystal pendants pretty easily. And those crystal pendants aren't going to do much against him either, with how much nerve and shooting he has. And he's been consistently near the top.
I
with
walked
his
away
list.
for 2 seconds. Which Matt are you talking about?
Matt Carmack.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I said consistently near the top, so obviously not you.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm
Do
there.
we need
I'm
to
there
bring up
one
Lone
day.
Wolf again?
I'm there one
let's
day,
not
and
go
then I'm
there.
not the next.
And this is the last ride out for that chariot army, right? We all saw.
Yeah.
Totally true.
Like
The
it's
last
going to the
ride of
shelf
the
after
Valkyrie.
this.
I don't know. I really liked it. What I saw from the chariots today, it looked really good. I love the separation of the range and melee, so I'm still liking the chariots actually. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
No, you're good. But at the same time, Dustin is a really good player, and he hasn't taken top spot in a while, so he's almost due for one. But I think, I mean, not to vote for a club mate, but I think Matt has, not knowing how much you're going to screw over shooting, which at the same time, he really doesn't care, because he hits on sevens normally anyway. So, but I think Matt has a good chance of taking it.
Okay.
Matt Carmack.
I like it. I like to see Matt up there. I don't think I see him up there enough. I think he's got a great list.
It would be awesome to see someone other than Aaron Chapman, Dustin, or another dojo player, maybe a top Titan, to be at the top.
Yeah.
Well, Matt's having a really good year. He's performing really well with that list, showing up at a lot of different tournaments and being up there either top 25% or podium. So it's got it in him. It's just we'll see if this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Billy, Travis, both. I'd like to get both your opinions actually.
Well, we've been kind of talking. We're kind of leaning towards between Matt, Dustin, or Garrett. I played against Garrett's list. He plays it really well. Can do a lot of damage quick. I'm almost leaning towards Matt myself. I don't know about Travis or not, but he says he has no idea.
Matt Carmack or Matt Young?
Matt Carmack.
No one's
Obviously.
voting for
Come
me.
on.
I mean, come on.
And I'll vote myself.
Pat's gotta rub in that salt.
I'll vote myself as the dark horse. After I
All
win
that's
my
gonna
first game.
happen. All that's gonna happen is I'm gonna beat Pat, Zorro, and then I'm gonna lose all my other tournaments because everything else after that's gonna be harder than Pat.
I did win
Yeah,
my
I
last Salamanders tournament game, so that by tradition I should lose my next one.
Not only by
So-
tradition, but also like by logic, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, if you lose this one, I mean, you talk about having to go do Sudoku. I'm gonna bring a book for you. You're just gonna be sitting in the corner for the rest of the tournament, filling out the Sudoku book after you lose our game.
I'm pretty good at Sudoku. It wouldn't take me that long.
So I'd like to formally request to clear up all this. What Matt are we talking about? That in the future we just use good Matt for Karmic and bad Matt for Young. That'll just clear it all right up.
That's fair.
I like it. All right, so you guys leading toward Matt, Dustin, and Garrett. That was Billy. Which one are you actually feeling, Billy? You have
I
to pick
said I was
one.
leaning towards good Matt.
Good Matt. All right. And Travis, which one are you leaning toward?
He said sure.
You jackass.
Who do you have? Yes.
Yes, he's like, sure. We'll go with the Matt on that. All right. Well, then that wraps up everything. So it looks like we've got Matt's the only one that's got 2 votes. We got Tom Annis in there, Garrett Mercer, and Dustin Howard, of course. Knowing that this is an overall, I've seen most of these armies actually, and I know they're all pretty awesome looking. So this will be really close if we're just dealing with those people. So, does anybody else have any other shout outs they'd like to do? Any other tournaments coming up, or anything else they'd like to get out there before we call it an evening? We'll start with Britton. You got anything?
Yeah, I have a tournament coming up at the end of the month, the last weekend in September in the Bay Area. So if anyone's interested, come on out. Just contact me. It's called Bay of Kings, and that's at bayofkings.com. Also, I'd like to thank you for having me on this cast and showing all the rest of the tournament TOs why you should never invite me to one of these casts.
Where is
So
Bay of
thanks.
Kings? Brit-
Thanks for that.
For those that
Where's
don't
that?
know, where is Bay of Kings, Britain? For those that don't know,
It's in Mountain View, California, which is just south of San Francisco. So it's the Bay Area, San Francisco, California. So yeah, bring your fucking Birkenstocks and your kombucha, and come on out.
Birkenstocks and kombucha.
I don't
Yeah.
even know what those are. All right. Billy, Travis, you guys got anything? Just want to. Nope, you're good.
No, I think we're good.
Oh God. So Travis is my assistant TO slash computer monkey slash gonna answer all the really hard stuff at this tournament. So big shout out to him because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm just trying to organize everything, and he's gonna be the the backbone of this. So I really appreciate him coming. And they're making the long drive from Nebraska, so I appreciate Billy and Travis both coming out to Bison Brawl for its first year.
Nice, nice.
Matt, you got anything?
I don't have any tournaments. Come to Alamo, I guess. It's the last V2 tournament you'll ever go to. So there you go.
I will be attending Alamo as well this year. So
And playing me in round one, because that's just going to happen now.
I mean, I won't really be playing. I'll really just kind of be stomping your ass in. But yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I'll be there.
I mean, we've played 3 times and I've beat you all 3, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we can go back and look at those scores.
I would
saw how
love
that-
to see you show me a game where you've beat me, Brian. Show me.
I mean, you clearly can't remember anything. So, Michael, you got anything?
No, I'm excited. This I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I've only been up to Oklahoma one time before, so I have no idea where we're going to end up because I've not been to Yukon before. But
God.
yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
I'm going to
Also,
say
your tournament has a really awesome logo and website. Whoever did that is pretty great.
Totally true.
I'm so excited for this game, Brian. I really am. I told you, I've told everyone else here, if I could have gone to one tournament this year, it would be this one because it's the inaugural event. You're an awesome dude. I'm just really excited about this tournament.
I'm trying to make it worthwhile for everybody to come. Have some good looking tables. Have everything organized. Everybody's going to get some goodies for coming. I made sure that everybody's got a nice little gift pouch for Bison Brawl when they come, and also everybody's definitely going to be walking away with at least one door prize, if not 2, which is actually going to end up happening since we had a few drops there at the end. So not to mention I've got all the nice trophies. It should be a pretty solid event, and hopefully as long as everything else goes well, we don't have anybody getting us drunkenly kicked out, we should be in good shape. So I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully do the Kings of War and the mountain region proud. Pat, you got anything else?
Honestly, I just want to point out that I don't know if anyone's heard, but recently Michael Piercy has won the contest for the short stories.
This is true.
So I wanted to say congratulations on the cast for that. I read it; it is really good.
Thank you. Yeah, Pat gave me some really good feedback while I was writing it, which was extremely helpful.
And that's going to show up in the book in December. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Army's Panathor expansion, version 3 version of Uncharted Empires.
Nice. That's the book that the Twilight Kin will not be in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Just double checking. Yeah, I'm the one that's absolutely going to be out the first week in December. That way, everybody can stop worrying about it. All right. With that, then I think we're going to be in good shape, and I appreciate everybody for coming, and thanks everybody for watching, and look forward to seeing everybody at Bison Brawl. Have a good evening.
See you soon,
See you
everybody.
there.
Thanks.